Dr. Eliara Trent stood at the edge of the research vessel, her eyes fixed on the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. The salty breeze whipped through her hair as she contemplated the absurdity of their situation. Humanity had finally made contact with an advanced alien civilization, the Xyrelians, only to be told that Earth's oceans were too dangerous to study. "Can you believe it, Jackson?" she asked, turning to her colleague. "We've explored less than 5% of our own oceans, and these aliens are too scared to even dip their tentacles in." Jackson Reed, the team's technology specialist, shook his head. "It's ridiculous. They've got ships that can traverse galaxies, but they're afraid of a little water." Eliara's mind wandered back to the meeting with the Xyrelian representatives. The aliens, with their iridescent skin and multiple eyes, had seemed almost embarrassed as they explained their refusal to study Earth's marine ecosystems. "Your oceans are unpredictable," Dr. Trent, Xyler Threx, the lead Xyrelian scientist, had said. "The pressure variations, the complex currents, the diverse and often aggressive life forms. It's simply too risky for our researchers." Eliara had been stunned. "But surely with your advanced technology." Xyler had cut her off with a wave of his tentacle. "Technology can only do so much against the raw power of nature. We've lost too many good scientists to aquatic environments far less challenging than yours. I'm sorry, but we must decline." Now, as Eliara looked out over the endless blue, she felt a mixture of frustration and excitement. If the aliens wouldn't study Earth's oceans, then humanity would have to do it themselves and show the galaxy what they were made of. "Dr. Trent," a voice called from behind. She turned to see Kai Sutherland, their pilot and navigation expert, jogging towards her. "The new equipment from Mara's lab has arrived. She says it's ready for deep-sea testing." Eliara nodded, a smile spreading across her face. "Excellent. Tell the team to prep for our first dive. We're going to show these aliens what humans can do." As she followed Kai back to the ship's laboratory, Eliara couldn't help but feel a thrill of anticipation. This expedition wasn't just about scientific discovery anymore. It was about proving humanity's worth to the galactic community. The lab was a hive of activity when they entered. Mara Quinn, their resident marine biologist and equipment specialist, was busy calibrating a sleek, cylindrical device. "Is that the new pressure-resistant camera?" Eliara asked, approaching Mara's workstation. Mara nodded, her eyes gleaming with pride. "Better. It's a fully autonomous deep-sea probe. It can withstand pressures that would crush a submarine like a tin can. And the best part? It uses a combination of sonar and advanced imaging technology that should allow us to map and analyze areas of the ocean floor that have never been seen before." Eliara whistled, impressed. "That's incredible, Mara. How deep can it go?" "Theoretically, all the way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. But I'd like to start with something a little less ambitious for our first test run." Jackson, who had been listening intently, chimed in. "What about the Tonga Trench? It's deep enough to give the probe a real challenge, but not so extreme that we'd be taking unnecessary risks." Eliara considered for a moment, then nodded. "Good thinking, Jackson. Kai, can you set a course for the Tonga Trench?" Kai grinned. "Already on it, Doc. We should be there in about 36 hours. As the team dispersed to make preparations, Eliara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. Little did she know that their expedition would uncover secrets that would change not just their understanding of Earth's oceans, but the fate of the entire galaxy. The research vessel, aptly named Poseidon's Gambit, cut through the waves with purpose as it approached the coordinates of the Tonga Trench. Eliara stood on the bridge, watching the depth readings climb steadily higher on the ship's advanced sonar display. "We're nearing the drop point, Dr. Trent," Kai announced, his hands steady on the controls. "Current depth is approaching 5,000 meters." Eliara nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. "Excellent. Jackson, is the probe ready for deployment?" Jackson's voice crackled over the intercom from the launch bay below. "All systems are green, Doc. Mara's baby is primed and eager to take its first plunge. "All right, team," Eliara addressed the crew, her voice firm with resolve. "This is what we've been preparing for. Let's show the Xyrelians and the rest of the galaxy what humanity can accomplish." As the ship came to a stop over the trench, Eliara made her way to the launch bay. The sleek, torpedo-shaped probe sat in its cradle, its metallic skin gleaming under the harsh lights. Mara was making some final adjustments, her brow furrowed in concentration. "How's our little explorer doing?" Eliara asked, approaching the device. Mara looked up, a mix of excitement and nervousness in her eyes. "She's ready to go. I've triple-checked every system. If there's anything down there to find, this probe will find it." Eliara placed a reassuring hand on Mara's shoulder. "You've done brilliant work, Mara. Now let's see what it can do." With a nod from Eliara, Jackson initiated the launch sequence. The bay doors opened, revealing the dark, churning waters below. With a soft hiss of hydraulics, the probe was lowered into the ocean. "Probe deployed successfully," Jackson reported, his eyes glued to the monitoring station. "Receiving telemetry. All systems nominal." The tension in the launch bay was palpable as they watched the probe's descent on the main screen. Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours, as the depth counter steadily increased. 7,000 meters, 8,000 meters. Mara called out, her voice tight with anticipation. Suddenly, at around 8,500 meters, the probe's lights illuminated something that made everyone gasp. Massive, otherworldly structures loomed in the darkness, their surfaces covered in strange, bioluminescent patterns. "What in the world?" Eliara breathed, leaning closer to the screen. "Mara, are you seeing this?" Mara was already furiously typing at her console. "I'm seeing it, but I don't believe it. These structures, they're not natural formations. The angles, the symmetry, they're artificial." As the probe continued its descent, more of the alien cityscape came into view. Towering spires, vast archways, and what appeared to be ancient roadways stretched out across the ocean floor. This is impossible," Jackson muttered, his face pale in the glow of the monitors. "There's no way human civilization could have built this, not at these depths." Eliara's mind raced with the implications. If humans didn't build this, then who or what did? As if in answer to her question, the probe's sensors picked up movement. Something massive was stirring in the depths, disturbed by the probe's presence. "We've got company," Mara shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. "Something big is moving towards the probe. I can't get a clear image, but it's... oh my God." The screen filled with a nightmarish visage, a colossal, squid-like creature with eyes that glowed with an unnatural intelligence. Its tentacles, each as thick as a redwood tree, reached for the probe with terrifying speed. "Evasive maneuvers," Eliara commanded, but it was too late. The creature enveloped the probe, and for a heart-stopping moment, the feed went dark. Then, just as suddenly, it cleared again. The probe was released, spinning wildly as it continued its descent. "We've lost main propulsion," Jackson reported, his voice tense. "The probe is in freefall." As they watched helplessly, the probe plummeted deeper into the trench, revealing more of the alien city and glimpses of other massive creatures moving in the shadows. Then, with a jarring impact, the feed cut out entirely. Silence fell over the launch bay. Eliara's mind whirled with questions and possibilities. They had just discovered something that would change everything humanity's understanding of Earth, of history, and of their place in the universe. "Get me a secure line to HQ," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "And someone find me the contact details for our Xyrelian friends. I think they're going to want to hear about this." As the crew scrambled to action, Eliara couldn't shake the feeling that they had just stumbled upon something far bigger and more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. The real expedition, she realized, was only just beginning. The atmosphere aboard Poseidon's Gambit was electric with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. News of their discovery had spread like wildfire, and within hours, the ship was swarming with additional personnel. Military officials, government representatives, and even a hastily assembled team of xenoarchaeologists had been flown in via hypersonic aircraft. Eliara found herself in the ship's main conference room, surrounded by a sea of eager faces and rapid-fire questions. At the head of the table sat Admiral Liam Voss, his steely gaze fixed on the holographic display of the lost probe's final moments. "Dr. Trent," Voss began, his voice cutting through the chatter, "I need you to walk us through exactly what we're looking at here." Eliara took a deep breath, centering herself. "What we've discovered, Admiral, is clear evidence of an advanced civilization that predates any known human history. The structures we saw are far too complex to be natural formations, and their depth rules out any possibility of human origin." A murmur rippled through the room. Eliara continued, her voice steady. "Furthermore, the creature we encountered, it displayed signs of intelligence far beyond what we'd expect from deep-sea fauna. Its reaction to our probe was deliberate, almost defensive." "Could it be related to the structures?" a voice piped up. Eliara turned to see Dr. Sienna Blake, the lead xenoarchaeologist, leaning forward with keen interest. "It's possible," Eliara admitted. "But without more data, it's impossible to say for certain." Admiral Voss's frown deepened. "And what of the Xyrelians? Have they responded to our communication?" Jackson, who had been quietly monitoring communications, spoke up. "We received a response about an hour ago, sir. They're on their way. A Xyrelian science vessel is en route and should arrive within the next 12 hours. The room erupted into excited chatter, but Eliara noticed a shadow pass over the Admiral's face. "Is something wrong, sir?" she asked. Voss sighed, rubbing his temples. "Dr. Trent, what we've discovered here could change everything. But it also poses significant risks. If there's an unknown, potentially hostile intelligence dwelling in our oceans, it could be seen as a threat not just to us, but to the entire galactic community." The implications hit Eliara like a punch to the gut. "You think the Xyrelians might view this as a reason to, what? Quarantine Earth?" "Or worse," Voss said grimly. "We need to be prepared for any possibility." As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Kai's voice came over the intercom, tight with urgency. "Dr. Trent, Admiral, you need to get to the bridge immediately. We're picking up massive energy signatures from the trench." The conference room emptied in seconds as everyone rushed to the bridge. Eliara arrived to find Kai and Mara hunched over the sensor displays, their faces illuminated by pulsing red warning lights. "Talk to me," Eliara demanded, leaning over their shoulders. Mara pointed to a series of fluctuating energy readings. "It started about 5 minutes ago. Whatever's down there, it's waking up. The energy output is off the charts, and it's still climbing." Suddenly, the ship rocked violently, nearly throwing them off their feet. Outside the viewports, the once calm sea had become a maelstrom. Massive whirlpools formed, and in the distance, pillars of water rose impossibly high into the air. "My God," Admiral Voss breathed, his military composure cracking. "What have we awakened?" As they watched in awe and terror, the sea seemed to split open. From the depths rose a structure of impossible proportions, a city-sized mass of alien architecture, water cascading off its ancient surfaces. And wrapped around it, their tentacles intertwined with the very fabric of the rising metropolis, were dozens of the colossal squid-like creatures they had glimpsed earlier. Eliara's mind raced. This was beyond anything they had prepared for, beyond anything humanity had ever faced. But as she looked around at her team, at Jackson's determined focus, Mara's analytical gaze, Kai's steady hands on the ship's controls, she felt a surge of pride and resolve. "Admiral," she said, turning to Voss, "I know this looks bad, but this is our planet. Whatever's down there, whatever's rising now, it's been here all along. We've lived alongside it, unknowing, for our entire history. We can't let fear drive our actions." Voss nodded slowly, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. "What do you propose, Doctor?" Eliara squared her shoulders, her voice firm with conviction. We do what humans do best. We adapt, we innovate, and we face the unknown head-on. Let's show the galaxy and whatever's rising from those depths that humanity isn't so easily cowed. As the ancient city continued to rise, bringing with it challenges and mysteries beyond imagination, Eliara and her team prepared to face a new chapter in human history. The true test of humanity's resilience and ingenuity was about to begin. The next few hours aboard Poseidon's Gambit were a whirlwind of activity. As the massive alien structure continued its slow ascent from the depths, Eliara and her team worked feverishly to gather as much data as possible. "Mara, what can you tell me about the biological components?" Eliara asked, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the rising city. Mara, her face illuminated by the glow of multiple screens, shook her head in wonder. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen, Eliara. The squid-like creatures seem to be symbiotically linked with the structure itself. They're not just wrapped around it, they're integrated into its very architecture." Jackson chimed in, his fingers flying over his keyboard. "The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever's powering this thing, it's not any kind of technology we're familiar with. It's almost as if the entire structure is alive." A commotion from the bridge caught their attention. Admiral Voss's voice boomed over the intercom. "Dr. Trent, we've got company. The Xyrelian vessel has just entered Earth's atmosphere." Eliara's heart raced. The arrival of the aliens added a new layer of complexity to an already unprecedented situation. "Understood, Admiral. I'm on my way." As she made her way to the bridge, Eliara couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. How would the Xyrelians react to this discovery? Would they see it as a threat to be eliminated, or a mystery to be explored? The bridge was a hive of activity when she arrived. Through the viewscreen, she could see a sleek, silver craft descending from the clouds. Its design was organic, almost fluid, a stark contrast to the angular human vessels surrounding it. "They're hailing us," Kai reported from his station. Admiral Voss nodded to Eliara. "You've got point on this, Doctor. Let's hear what they have to say." With a deep breath, Eliara stepped forward. "This is Dr. Eliara Trent of the Earth vessel Poseidon's Gambit. Welcome to Earth." The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the familiar iridescent features of Xylar Threx. The Xyrelian scientists' multiple eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of agitation in their species. "Dr. Trent," Xylar's voice was tense. "We received your message about the discovery, but this is beyond anything we anticipated. Do you realize what you've done?" Eliara stood her ground. "We've uncovered a part of our planet's history that was previously unknown to us. Surely, as scientists, you can appreciate the significance of this discovery." Xylar's tentacles writhed in what Eliara had come to recognize as a gesture of frustration. "You don't understand. That structure, those creatures, they're not just some lost civilization, they're Vortexians." The name hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. Eliara glanced at Admiral Voss, who looked equally puzzled. "I'm afraid we're not familiar with that term," Eliara admitted. Xylar's eyes narrowed. "The Vortexians are an ancient race, long thought extinct. They were known for their ability to manipulate space-time itself. Their technology, their very biology, operates on principles that defy our understanding of physics." As if to underscore Xylar's words, the ship suddenly shuddered. Outside, the rising city seemed to flicker, as if phasing in and out of reality. The Vortexians were sealed away eons ago by a coalition of early spacefaring races, Xylar continued, his voice grave. "They were deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable to be allowed free rein in the galaxy, and now you've awakened them." Eliara felt a chill run down her spine, but she refused to be cowed. "Be that as it may, this is our planet. We can't simply stand by and watch as an unknown force takes control. There must be a way to communicate with them, to understand their intentions." Xylar's expression was unreadable. "I'm afraid it's not that simple, Dr. Trent. The Galactic Council will have to be informed. They may decide that more Drastic measures are necessary. Admiral Voss stepped forward, his voice steel. If you're implying what I think you're implying, let me make something clear. This is our home, and we will defend it against any threat, foreign or domestic. The tension was palpable as human and alien locked eyes across the vastness of space. But before either could speak again, a new voice cut through the silence. It was Mara, her voice tight with urgency. Eliara, Admiral, you need to see this. The Vortexian structure. It's changing. All eyes turned to the view screen. The alien city, now fully emerged from the ocean, was transforming. Its spires and arches were shifting, realigning themselves into a new configuration. At its center, a swirling vortex of energy was forming, growing larger by the second. Eliara's scientific mind raced with possibilities, even as her instincts screamed danger. Whatever was happening, it was clear that humanity and indeed, the entire galaxy was on the brink of a moment that would define their future. As the vortex continued to grow, Eliara made a decision. They couldn't run, and they couldn't hide. The only way forward was to face this new reality head-on, with all the courage and ingenuity that humanity could muster. Xyler, she said, her voice steady, I propose we face this together. Human and Xyrelian, united in the pursuit of knowledge and the preservation of life. What do you say? The answer to that question would set the stage for the next phase of their incredible journey, as humanity prepared to prove its worth on a truly cosmic scale. Xyler's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession, a clear sign of internal conflict. After what felt like an eternity, the Xyrelian scientist spoke. Your proposal is unexpected, Dr. Trent, but perhaps not unwise. The Vortexians are an enemy beyond either of our civilization's individual capabilities. Eliara felt a surge of relief, quickly tempered by the gravity of the situation. Thank you, Xyler. Now, what can you tell us about the Vortexians? Any information could be crucial. As Xyler began to speak, the ship shuddered again, more violently this time. Kai's voice cut through the tension. Dr. Trent, Admiral, the vortex is expanding rapidly. It's pulling us in. Sure enough, Poseidon's gambit was being inexorably drawn towards the swirling mass of energy at the center of the Vortexian structure. The Xyrelian ship, visible through the view screen, was similarly affected. Admiral Voss barked orders. All hands, brace for impact. Kai, full reverse thrust. It's no use, sir, Kai shouted back, his hands flying over the controls. Our engines can't compete with this force. Eliara's mind raced. They were dealing with technology far beyond their understanding, possibly even beyond the laws of physics as they knew them. Conventional responses wouldn't work here. Xyler, she called out, an idea forming. You said the Vortexians manipulate space-time. Could this vortex be some kind of portal? The Xyrelian's tentacles writhed in agitation. It's possible. The Vortexians were known to create gateways between distant points in space-time. But Dr. Trent, if that's what this is, we have no way of knowing where or when it might lead. Eliara set her jaw, determination flooding through her. Then we'll just have to find out. Xyler, can your ship link its systems with ours? If we combine our sensor data and processing power, we might be able to analyze the vortex as we pass through it. For a moment, Xyler hesitated. Then, to Eliara's relief, the alien nodded. It's risky, but you're right. It's our best chance. Initiating link now. As the two ship systems merged, creating a unified network of unprecedented power, the vortex loomed ever closer. The ocean around them churned violently, and the sky above darkened with swirling clouds. All personnel, secure yourselves, Admiral Voss commanded. We're going in. The moment of entry was unlike anything Eliara had ever experienced. It felt as if every atom in her body was being pulled apart and reassembled. Colors she had no names for flashed before her eyes, and sounds beyond human hearing rang in her ears. And then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. Eliara blinked, her vision slowly clearing. The viewscreen showed not the turbulent seas of Earth, but an alien sky, filled with swirling nebulae and unfamiliar constellations. "Status report," Admiral Voss called out, his voice slightly shaky. Jackson's fingers flew over his console. "All systems operational, sir. But you're not going to believe this. According to our chronometers and stellar positioning, we've traveled not just in space, but in time. We're approximately 100,000 light-years from Earth, and 50 million years in the past." A stunned silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of instruments. Zyler's voice came through the comm system, filled with a mixture of awe and fear. "It's true. We've been transported to the height of the Vortexian civilization. The legends. They were all true." As if to confirm his words, the viewscreen shifted, revealing a breathtaking sight. A vast cityscape stretched out before them, its architecture defying the laws of physics. Massive structures floated unsupported, their surfaces shimmering with otherworldly energy, and moving among them were countless beings that could only be the Vortexians, their tentacled forms gliding through the air with graceful purpose. Eliara felt a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and an overwhelming sense of discovery. They had just made the greatest journey in human history, and the fate of their entire species might well rest on what they did next. "Well," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind, "I guess we'd better introduce ourselves to the neighbors." As the crew of Poseidon's Gambit prepared to make first contact with a civilization out of legend, Eliara couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. Humanity had been thrust into a situation that even advanced alien races feared, and yet here they were, ready to face the unknown with courage and curiosity. The true test of humanity's resilience and ingenuity was about to begin, and Eliara was determined to prove that her species was worthy of its place among the stars. The next few hours were a blur of activity as both human and Xyrelian crews prepared for their unprecedented encounter. Eliara found herself in a hastily assembled joint command center, surrounded by holographic displays and chattering communication channels. "Dr. Trent," Admiral Voss called out, his face grim. "We've got movement. A Vortexian vessel is approaching." Eliara's heart raced as she watched the alien ship draw near. Its design was organic, almost liquid, constantly shifting and reforming as it moved. It defied every principle of aerospace engineering she knew. "Zyler," she said, turning to the Xyrelian scientist, "any advice on first contact protocols with the Vortexians?" Zyler's tentacles twisted in what Eliara had come to recognize as a gesture of uncertainty. "Our records are incomplete, Dr. Trent. The Vortexians were sealed away before my species achieved interstellar travel. We know they communicate through a combination of telepathy and bioluminescent signaling, but the specifics are lost to time." Jackson, who had been monitoring the sensor readings, suddenly straightened. Guys, I think they're trying to communicate. We're picking up some kind of psychic signal." As if on cue, Eliara felt a presence brush against her mind. It was alien, vast, and incomprehensibly complex. Images and concepts flooded her consciousness faster than she could process them. Around her, she could see others reacting to the contact. Some, like Mara, seemed fascinated, their eyes wide with wonder. Others, including Admiral Voss, looked deeply uncomfortable, their hands instinctively reaching for weapons that weren't there. With a supreme effort of will, Eliara focused her thoughts, trying to project a simple message of peace and curiosity. To her surprise, the flood of information slowed, becoming more orderly and comprehensible. I think they're responding," she said, her voice filled with awe. "They're curious about us. They want to know why we're here, how we arrived in their time." Zyler's eyes widened. "You can understand them? Fascinating. Our species has always been resistant to their form of communication." Before Eliara could respond, a new image filled her mind. She saw the Earth, but not as it was in their time. This was Earth as it had been 50 million years ago, teeming with life forms both familiar and utterly alien. And beneath the oceans, she saw vast Vortexian cities, harmoniously integrated with the planet's ecosystems. "They're showing us their history," she breathed. They didn't originate on Earth, but they made it their home. They were its guardians, nurturing its development. Admiral Voss frowned. If they were such benevolent guardians, why were they sealed away? Why did the other races fear them? As if in answer to his question, the mental images shifted. Eliara saw flashes of conflict, of Vortexian cities rising from oceans on countless worlds. She felt the fear and mistrust of younger races, watching as these godlike beings reshaped planets to their will. It was a misunderstanding, she realized. The Vortexians' power, their ability to manipulate space-time, it terrified the other races. They couldn't comprehend the Vortexians' long-term plans for nurturing life across the galaxy. Xyler's tentacles writhed in agitation. But the dangers they posed were largely imagined, Eliara interrupted, the pieces falling into place. Yes, their power could be destructive if misused, but that was never their intention. They were trying to guide the development of life throughout the galaxy, operating on a timescale we can barely comprehend. A new presence made itself known in Eliara's mind, distinct from the vast, collective consciousness of the Vortexians. It felt more focused, more individual. With it came a sense of urgency and regret. They're telling us. Eliara began, struggling to put the alien concepts into words, that their awakening in our time was premature. The seal was meant to last much longer, allowing life in the galaxy to develop and mature further before they re-emerged. Admiral Voss leaned forward, his expression intense. Are they a threat to Earth? To humanity? Eliara shook her head. No, quite the opposite. They're concerned about the state of the Earth in our time. The damage to the ecosystems, the imbalances we've created. They want to help, but they're bound by their own laws against interfering too directly with developing species. A moment of profound silence fell over the command center as the implications sank in. Humanity had not only discovered the secret history of their planet, but had come face to face with beings of almost unimaginable power and wisdom. So, Jackson said, breaking the silence, what do we do now? Eliara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. We learn, we collaborate, and most importantly, we bridge the gap between our civilizations. The Vortexians have knowledge that could revolutionize our understanding of the universe, and we can show them how life has evolved in their absence. As the human and Xyrelian crews prepared to embark on the most important diplomatic mission in history, Eliara couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity, despite its fears and flaws, was about to take its place in a grand cosmic design billions of years in the making. The journey that had begun in the depths of Earth's oceans was about to take them to the very heights of galactic civilization. The following days were a whirlwind of discovery and diplomacy. Eliara found herself at the center of it all, acting as the primary intermediary between the humans, Xyrelians, and Vortexians. The mental link she had established with the ancient beings grew stronger, allowing for more nuanced communication. On the third day, the Vortexians extended an invitation that left both human and Xyrelian crews in awe. They were to be given a tour of one of their great city ships. As Eliara, Admiral Voss, Xyler, and a select team approached the massive Vortexian vessel in a shuttle, the true scale of their host's capabilities became apparent. The city ship was a marvel of bioengineering and physics-defying architecture, its structures flowing and shifting like a living organism. It's incredible, Mara breathed, her face pressed against the shuttle's viewport. The entire ship is a self-contained ecosystem. I'm detecting thousands of different species coexisting within its boundaries. Jackson, who had been analyzing the ship's energy readings, shook his head in disbelief. Their power source. It's like nothing we've ever seen. It's as if they're drawing energy from the fabric of space-time itself. As they docked with the city ship, Eliara felt a familiar presence touch her mind. Their Vortexian guide, whom she had come to think of as the curator due to its vast repository of knowledge, welcomed them aboard. The interior of the city ship defied description. Corridors shifted and realigned as they walked, adapting to their needs. They passed through vast chambers that seemed to contain entire landscapes, from lush forests to crystalline deserts, all teeming with life. The curator is explaining that these are preservation habitats, Eliara translated for the group. The Vortexians collect and nurture endangered species from across the galaxy, helping them to recover and evolve. Admiral Voss, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up. Ask them about Earth. In our time, can they help us address the damage we've done to our planet? Eliara relayed the question, and the response came as a series of vivid mental images. She saw Earth as it was in their own time, but overlaid with glowing lines of energy and pulsing nodes of light. They're showing us Earth's, I guess you could call it its life web, Eliara explained, her voice filled with wonder. It's a network of energy that connects all living things on the planet. They say it's damaged in our time, but not beyond repair. Xyler's tentacles writhed with excitement. Fascinating. This could revolutionize our understanding of planetary ecosystems. But how can we possibly manipulate something so complex? The curator's response came as a flood of information, too vast for Eliara to fully comprehend. She struggled to translate the concepts into words the others could understand. They're offering to teach us, she said slowly, not just about Earth's life web, but about the fundamental principles that govern life and energy throughout the universe. It's like they're offering to elevate our entire civilization. Admiral Voss's expression was a mix of awe and concern. That's an incredibly generous offer, but it also sounds dangerous. That kind of knowledge and power. Are we ready for it? Eliara felt the curator's amusement at the Admiral's words. The response that came was both reassuring and challenging. They say that's precisely why they were sealed away before, Eliara translated. Younger races feared their power and knowledge, but they believe that true growth can only come from understanding, not ignorance. They're willing to guide us, to help us grow into our potential. But the choice to learn and how to use that knowledge will always be ours. As the implications of this offer sank in, the group fell into a contemplative silence. They were standing at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. The decision they made here would shape not just the future of humanity, but potentially the future of life in the galaxy. Jackson was the first to break the silence. When we first discovered that alien city rising from our oceans, I thought we were in for the fight of our lives. I never imagined it would lead to this. Mara nodded in agreement. It's ironic, isn't it? We came here thinking we needed to defend Earth, but instead, we've been offered the keys to saving it and so much more. Eliara looked around at her team, at Xyler, and at the marvels of Vortexian technologies surrounding them. She felt a surge of pride in how far they'd come, and excitement for the journey ahead. Well, she said, a smile spreading across her face, I think it's time we showed the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Who's ready to learn? As the team voiced their enthusiastic agreement, Eliara felt the curator's approval washing over her. The journey that had begun in the depths of Earth's oceans was about to take humanity to heights they had never dreamed possible. The age of isolation was over. A new era of cosmic collaboration and discovery was about to begin. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of learning and adaptation. Eliara and her team, along with their Xyrelian counterparts, immersed themselves in the vast knowledge the Vortexians offered. It was a challenging process, requiring them to expand their minds in ways they never thought possible. Jackson took to the advanced physics and energy manipulation techniques like a fish to water. His eyes gleamed with excitement as he worked alongside Vortexian engineers, learning to harness the power of space-time itself. Eliara, you've got to see this, he called out one day, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. With a gesture that seemed almost casual, he created a small, swirling vortex of energy in the palm of his hand. It's a miniature wormhole. Can you believe it? We're manipulating the fabric of reality. Mara, meanwhile, had thrown herself into studying the intricacies of planetary ecosystems. She spent hours in deep communion with the Vortexian biologists, her mind expanding to encompass the vast, interconnected web of life that spanned galaxies. It's all connected, she explained to Eliara, her eyes wide with wonder. Every planet, every species, every blade of grass, they're all part of a cosmic symphony. And we've been playing out of tune without even realizing it. Even Admiral Voss, initially skeptical, had found his niche. He worked closely with the Vortexians on matters of galactic diplomacy and governance, learning about the delicate balance that had kept peace among the stars for eons. "It's not about military might," he confided to Eliara one evening. "It's about understanding. These beings, they've seen civilizations rise and fall. They know that true power comes from cooperation, not conquest." As for Eliara herself, she felt as though she was standing at the confluence of a million streams of knowledge. Her role as the primary communicator with the Vortexians gave her a unique perspective on the vast tapestry of information they were weaving. One day, as she stood on an observation deck, overlooking the swirling nebulae outside the city ship, she felt the now familiar presence of the curator touch her mind. "It's time," the thought came, clear and resonant. Eliara understood immediately. They had learned much, but the true test lay ahead. It was time to return to their own time, to Earth, and put their newfound knowledge to use. The journey back through the vortex was smoother this time, guided by their Vortexian hosts. As they emerged into familiar space, Eliara felt a mix of emotions: anticipation, excitement, and a touch of apprehension. Earth hung before them, a blue marble suspended in the void. But now, with her enhanced perceptions, Eliara could see the glowing web of energy that enveloped the planet, pulsing with life, but also marred by dark patches of damage and imbalance. "It's worse than I imagined," Mara said softly, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. "But we can fix it. We have to." Admiral Voss straightened his uniform, his face set with determination. "All right, people. We've learned from the past. Now it's time to secure the future. Dr. Trent, what's our first move?" Eliara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. But she also felt a surge of confidence. They had the knowledge, the tools, and most importantly, the will to make a difference. "First," she said, her voice steady, "we need to address the immediate environmental crises. Mara, you'll lead a team to begin repairing the most damaged parts of Earth's ecosystem. Jackson, I need you to work on adapting Vortexian energy technology to replace our harmful power sources." She turned to the Admiral. "Sir, we'll need your diplomatic skills. The changes we're about to implement will shake the foundations of our society. We need to ensure a smooth transition and prevent panic." As her team nodded in agreement, each already formulating plans for their tasks, Eliara felt a swell of pride. They had faced the unknown, learned from beings beyond their comprehension, and now stood ready to guide humanity into a new era. "One more thing," she added, a smile playing at her lips. "We should prepare for some visitors. I have a feeling our Vortexian friends won't want to miss this." As if in response to her words, space seemed to ripple, and the massive form of a Vortexian city ship shimmered into view beside them. It was a breathtaking sight, a promise of the wonders that awaited humanity in their new future. The journey that had begun in the depths of Earth's oceans had led them across time and space, and now it was bringing them full circle. But this was not an ending. It was a beginning, a new chapter in the story of humanity, as they took their place among the stars. Eliara looked out at her home planet, feeling the hum of cosmic energy all around her. "All right, team," she said, her voice filled with determination and hope. "Let's show the universe what humanity can do." The months that followed were a period of unprecedented change for Earth and humanity. As Eliara and her team began implementing their plans, the world watched in awe and, at times, trepidation. Mara's work on ecosystem restoration yielded dramatic results. Using Vortexian biotechnology, she and her team seeded the oceans with engineered microorganisms that rapidly cleaned pollutants and restored balance to marine ecosystems. Barren coral reefs sprang back to life, and fish populations rebounded at astonishing rates. "It's like watching millions of years of evolution and fast forward," Mara explained during a global broadcast, her eyes shining with excitement. "We're not just fixing the damage, we're helping Earth's biosphere evolve to be more resilient." Jackson, meanwhile, revolutionized the world's energy infrastructure. Vortexian-inspired power plants, drawing energy directly from the fabric of space-time, began to replace fossil fuel facilities. Cities that had once been shrouded in smog now gleamed under clear skies. The best part, Jackson told a gathering of world leaders, is that this is just the beginning. As we refine these technologies, we'll be able to eliminate scarcity altogether. Energy, food, clean water, they'll all be as abundant as the air we breathe. Admiral Voss found himself in the unfamiliar role of peacemaker, mediating between nations and corporations as the old power structures began to crumble in the face of this new paradigm. It wasn't always easy, but his experiences with the Vortexians had given him a new perspective on conflict resolution. "We're all in this together," became his mantra, repeated in council chambers and on news broadcasts around the world. The challenges we face, the opportunities before us, they transcend borders and ideologies. As for Eliara, she found herself at the center of it all, coordinating efforts between human teams, Xyrelian advisors, and their Vortexian mentors. It was exhausting work, but every time she felt overwhelmed, she reminded herself of the stakes. One evening, as she stood on the balcony of the newly constructed Terran Vortexian Cooperation Center, overlooking a cityscape that seemed to blend human and alien aesthetics seamlessly, she felt a familiar presence in her mind. "You've done well," the curator's thoughts resonated. "Your species has embraced change with remarkable adaptability." Eliara smiled, watching as a group of children played in a park below, their laughter mixing with the soft hum of anti-gravity vehicles. "We've had excellent teachers," she replied, "but there's still so much to do." "Indeed," the curator agreed, "which is why we have a proposal for you and your people." Intrigued, Eliara listened as the curator outlined a plan that took her breath away. The Vortexians, impressed by humanity's progress, were offering to take them on as full partners in their mission of cosmic stewardship. "You mean?" Eliara began, her mind reeling with the implications. "Yes," the curator confirmed. "We believe humanity is ready to join us in nurturing life throughout the galaxy. Your unique perspective, your adaptability, your drive to explore, they complement our own abilities perfectly." The offer was staggering. It meant access to technologies and knowledge beyond their wildest dreams. It meant spreading out among the stars not as conquerors, but as caretakers. It meant becoming part of something greater than themselves. As Eliara prepared to present this proposal to Earth's leaders, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the depths of their own oceans to the far reaches of time and space, humanity had faced challenges that would have broken lesser species. They had confronted the unknown, learned from it, and grown. The next day, as she stood before a global assembly, Eliara felt a sense of déjà vu. Once again, she was about to present humanity with a choice that would shape their destiny. But this time, she had no doubts about their readiness. "People of Earth," she began, her voice carried to every corner of the globe, "we stand at the threshold of a new era. We have healed our planet, revolutionized our society, and expanded our understanding of the universe. Now, we face our greatest challenge and our greatest opportunity." As she outlined the Vortexians' offer, she saw a mix of emotions play across the faces in the audience: awe, excitement, and yes, a hint of fear, but overwhelmingly, she saw determination and hope. "The choice before us is clear," Eliara concluded. "We can remain here, content with what we've achieved, or we can take the next step, venturing out into the cosmos not as conquerors, but as nurturers and protectors of life." She paused, looking out over the sea of faces. "I believe we're ready. Who will join me in this grand adventure?" The response was immediate and overwhelming. Cheers erupted from the assembly hall, echoed by millions watching around the world. It was a resounding affirmation of humanity's spirit, their willingness to embrace the unknown and strive for something greater. As the applause washed over her, Eliara felt a profound sense of pride and purpose. The journey that had begun in the depths of Earth's oceans had led humanity to the stars. And now, a new chapter was beginning, one that promised wonders beyond imagination. She smiled, thinking of all that lay ahead. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, but humanity was ready to face them. Together with their new allies, they would explore, learn, and grow, writing a new story of cosmic cooperation and discovery. The depths had defied them, but humanity had risen to the challenge. Now, the stars themselves awaited their touch. As the years passed, humanity's integration into the cosmic community progressed at an astonishing pace. The partnership with the Vortexians opened up avenues of exploration and discovery that had once seemed like the stuff of science fiction. Eliara found herself at the forefront of this new era, leading missions to distant worlds and overseeing the implementation of Vortexian wisdom across human colonies. Today, she stood on the bridge of the Terran-Vortexian hybrid ship Nautilus, named in honor of humanity's oceanic origins. "Dr. Trent," Kai's voice called out from the helm, "we're approaching the Andromeda Galaxy, preparing for trans-galactic jump." Eliara nodded, a thrill of excitement running through her. Even after all these years, the wonder of faster-than-light travel never diminished. "Proceed, Kai. Let's make history." As the Nautilus entered the swirling vortex that would carry them across the vast intergalactic void, Eliara reflected on how far they'd come. Earth had become a beacon of harmony and technological advancement, its restored ecosystems serving as a model for planetary rehabilitation across the Milky Way. Jackson, now head of the Terran Energy Commission, had overseen the implementation of Vortexian power systems throughout human space. His work had not only eliminated energy scarcity, but had also unlocked new realms of scientific inquiry. "You know," his holographic image had told her just before this mission, "sometimes I still can't believe we're harvesting zip-point energy from the quantum foam." Younger me would have thought that was pure sci-fi babble. Mara had taken her expertise in xenobiology to new heights, leading efforts to seed life on barren worlds and restore failing ecosystems across multiple galaxies. Her work had earned her the nickname the Gardener of Worlds among both humans and aliens. "Every planet is a canvas," she'd explained during her last transmission. "We're not just preserving life, Eliara. We're painting new evolutionary paths across the cosmos." Even Admiral Voss, now a respected elder statesman, had found his calling in galactic diplomacy. His experiences had made him an invaluable mediator in conflicts between spacefaring civilizations. As the Nautilus emerged from the vortex, the sight that greeted them took Eliara's breath away. The Andromeda Galaxy sprawled before them, a vast spiral of stars and nebulae that dwarfed anything in their home galaxy. "Scanners are picking up multiple Vortexian beacons," Jackson reported, his eyes fixed on the readouts. "Looks like our friends have been busy here too." Eliara smiled. The Vortexians' mission of cosmic stewardship had been ongoing for billions of years, spanning multiple galaxies. And now, humanity was joining them in this grand endeavor. "Set a course for the nearest beacon," she instructed. "Let's see what new wonders await us." As the Nautilus glided towards their destination, Eliara felt the familiar touch of the curator's mind. Over the years, their communication had become smoother, almost seamless. "Welcome to Andromeda," the thought came, tinged with warmth and pride. "You've come a long way from those first tentative steps in your home ocean." Eliara chuckled. "We had good teachers," she replied, "though I don't think any of us imagined this when we first encountered your city rising from the Pacific." "The potential was always there," the curator mused. "You just needed the right catalyst to unlock it. And now, look at you exploring new galaxies, nurturing life across the cosmos. You've become true partners in our mission." As they approached the Vortexian beacon, a massive structure came into view. It was a stellar nursery, a vast complex dedicated to cultivating and guiding the birth of new stars and solar systems. "Incredible," Mara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "The scale of it. We're witnessing the birth of entire worlds." Eliara nodded, feeling a sense of profound purpose wash over her. This was why they had come so far, why they had faced the unknown and embraced a cosmic destiny. They were no longer just observers of the universe's grand story, they were active participants, helping to write new chapters across the vastness of space and time. "All right, team," she said, her voice filled with determination and excitement. "Let's get to work. We've got a galaxy to explore and nurture." As the crew of the Nautilus prepared to dock with the stellar nursery, Eliara couldn't help but marvel at the journey that had brought them here. From the depths of Earth's oceans to the far reaches of Andromeda, humanity had risen to every challenge, defied every limitation, and emerged as a force for good in the cosmos. The story that had begun with a mysterious city rising from the Pacific had blossomed into an epic saga of exploration, growth, and cosmic stewardship. And the best part? Their journey was far from over. With each new discovery, each world nurtured back to health, each star system guided into existence, they were writing new pages in the greatest adventure humanity had ever known. As Eliara stepped onto the deck of the stellar nursery, ready to face whatever new marvels and challenges awaited, she smiled. The depths had defied them, but humanity had not just survived, they had thrived. And now, the entire universe was their new frontier, waiting to be explored, understood, and nurtured. The journey that had started in defiance of the depths had led them to the very heights of cosmic achievement. And for humanity, this was just the beginning. Dr. Eliara Trent stood at the observation deck of the Nautilus, her eyes fixed on the swirling chaos before her. What should have been the serene expanse of the Andromeda galaxy was now a maelstrom of colliding stars and imploding nebulae. It was as if the very fabric of space-time was coming undone at the seams. "Jackson," she called out, her voice tight with concern, "what are the latest readings?" Jackson Reed, his face illuminated by the glow of holographic displays, shook his head grimly. "It's not good, Eliara. The anomalies are spreading faster than we can track them. We've lost contact with 3 more stellar nurseries in the past hour alone." Eliara felt a weight settle in her chest. For centuries, humanity had worked alongside the Vortexians, nurturing life across the cosmos. Now, all of that was threatened by a force they couldn't even begin to comprehend. "Any word from the Vortexian High Council?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer. Kai Sutherland, their pilot and communications expert, spoke up from his station. "Nothing concrete. They seem just as baffled as we are. The curator has requested we rendezvous with them at the Centaurus A galaxy. Apparently, they found something unusual." Eliara nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Set a course, Kai. Maximum speed." As the Nautilus prepared for the jump to Centaurus A, Eliara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The universe had thrown challenges at them before, but this felt different, more fundamental, as if the very laws of physics were being rewritten. The journey to Centaurus A was tense, filled with reports of more anomalies, more destruction. Entire star systems were vanishing, leaving behind nothing but empty voids in the cosmic tapestry. It was as if reality itself was being erased. When they finally arrived at the coordinates provided by the curator, Eliara gasped. Before them floated a structure unlike anything she had ever seen. It defied description, its geometry seeming to shift and change even as she looked at it. It radiated an energy that made her skin tingle and her mind reel. "What is that?" Mara Quinn whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. Before anyone could respond, a familiar presence touched Eliara's mind. The curator's thoughts, usually so calm and measured, now carried an undercurrent of urgency. "We have found the source of the disturbances," the curator's voice echoed in her head. "But we are not alone. There are others here, older than us, more powerful than anything we have encountered before." As if on cue, a new consciousness brushed against Eliara's mind. It was vast, ancient, and utterly alien. It spoke not in words, but in concepts that threatened to overwhelm her human perception. "The cycle nears its end," the alien thought boomed. "The tapestry unravels. Will you stand as preservers of stagnation, or embrace the renewal of all things?" Eliara staggered, her mind reeling from the contact. As she steadied herself, she realized that humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet. The depths had once defied them, and they had risen to the stars. Now, the very foundations of reality were at stake. With a deep breath, she straightened her shoulders. Whatever lay ahead, whatever cosmic forces they were about to confront, she knew one thing for certain: humanity would face it head-on, with all the courage, ingenuity, and determination that had brought them this far. "All right, team," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. "Let's make contact. It's time to show these ancient beings what humanity is made of." As the Nautilus moved towards the impossible structure, Eliara couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to step into the unknown once again, and the fate of not just humanity, but all of existence, hung in the balance. As the Nautilus approached the enigmatic structure, Eliara felt the alien presence grow stronger. It was like standing at the edge of an infinite abyss, peering into the very heart of creation itself. "Initiating docking procedures," Kai announced, his voice tight with concentration. "But I've got to warn you, Doc, our systems are going haywire. It's like the laws of physics are fluid here?" Jackson nodded grimly from his station. "Confirmed. Quantum fluctuations are off the charts. Whatever this structure is, it's bending reality around it." Eliara took a deep breath, steadying herself. "All right, team. We've faced the unknown before. Let's do what we do best: adapt and overcome." As they stepped onto the structure, Eliara's senses were assaulted by impossible geometries and colors that shouldn't exist. The very air seemed to shimmer with potential, as if reality here was a canvas waiting to be painted. "Fascinating," Mara breathed, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "The molecular structure of this material, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's as if it exists in multiple states simultaneously." Before Eliara could respond, a figure materialized before them. It was vaguely humanoid, but its form shifted and flowed like liquid starlight. When it spoke, it was directly into their minds, in concepts that strained the limits of human comprehension. "Welcome, children of Earth," the being's thoughts resonated. "We are the primordials. We have watched your ascension with great interest." Eliara stepped forward, her mind reeling but her voice steady. "We come seeking answers. The fabric of space-time is unraveling. Entire galaxies are being erased from existence. Are you responsible for this?" The primordial's form rippled, and Eliara sensed something akin to amusement. "Responsible? Perhaps. But you frame it as destruction. We see it as necessary renewal." "Renewal?" Jackson interjected, his scientific mind racing. "You're talking about rewriting the fundamental laws of physics." "Indeed," the primordial confirmed. "The universe you know is but one iteration in an endless cycle. It has grown, stagnant. The time has come for a reset, for new possibilities to emerge." Eliara felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. Everything they had worked for, every world they had nurtured, every civilization they had guided, it was all at risk of being erased. "But what about all the life in the universe?" she argued. "Countless beings, entire ecosystems, you can't just wipe them out." The primordial's form pulsed with what might have been sympathy. "It is the way of things. From the ashes of the old, new life will spring forth, with new potentials, new laws governing their existence." Eliara was about to protest further when she felt another presence join them. The curator materialized, its familiar form a stark contrast to the fluid existence of the primordial. "We have known of this cycle," the curator admitted, its thoughts tinged with sadness. "But we had hoped to find a way to preserve what exists while still allowing for growth and change." The primordial's form flickered. "A noble goal, but ultimately futile. The tapestry of reality cannot be patched indefinitely. It must be rewoven anew." As Eliara listened to these cosmic beings debate the fate of all existence, she felt a surge of determination. Humanity had not come this far, had not overcome so many challenges, only to stand by and watch as everything was reset. "There must be another way," she insisted. "A way to allow for renewal without total destruction, and I believe humanity might hold the key." Both the primordial and the curator turned their attention to her, curiosity radiating from their impossible forms. "Explain," the primordial commanded. Eliara took a deep breath, her mind racing. She didn't have all the answers yet, but she knew in her heart that humanity's unique perspective, their ability to innovate and adapt, could offer a solution that even these ancient beings hadn't considered. "Give us a chance," she pleaded. "Let us show you what humanity is capable of. We've bridged gaps between species, reshaped worlds, and defied the impossible time and time again. Perhaps we can find a way to renew the universe without erasing all that exists." As she spoke, Eliara could feel the weight of countless lives resting on her shoulders. The fate of not just humanity, but all of existence, hung in the balance, and once again it fell to them to prove their worth on a cosmic scale. The primordial was silent for a long moment, its form swirling with unreadable patterns. Finally, it spoke. "Very well, child of Earth, you shall have your chance, but be warned, the unraveling cannot be stopped indefinitely. Time is against you." With that, the primordial vanished, leaving Eliara and her team standing on the precipice of their greatest challenge yet. The race to save reality itself had begun. The journey back to the Nautilus was a blur for Eliara, her mind racing with the enormity of the task before them. As they gathered in the ship's conference room, the tension was palpable. "All right," Eliara began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her thoughts. "We need ideas, and we need them fast. The entire universe is counting on us." Jackson was the first to speak up, his eyes gleaming with the excitement of a new scientific challenge. "We need to think outside the box here. The primordials talk about reweaving the fabric of reality. What if we could find a way to reinforce it instead?" Mara nodded enthusiastically. "Like a cosmic patch job. But how? We're talking about manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe." "That's where our Vortexian knowledge comes in," Eliara mused. "They've been stewarding life across galaxies for eons. Surely there's something in their vast archives that could help us." The curator, who had been silently observing, now spoke up. "There might be. In our earliest records, there are mentions of a technology so advanced it bordered on the mystical. The Cosmic Loom, it was called." "The Cosmic Loom?" Kai echoed, his brow furrowed. "Sounds like something out of a fairy tale." "Many of our most advanced technologies would seem like magic to less developed civilizations," the curator reminded them. "The Cosmic Loom was said to be able to manipulate the very strings of reality. But it was deemed too dangerous, too powerful. It was dismantled, and its components scattered across the universe." Eliara felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. "That's it. If we could reassemble this Cosmic Loom, we might be able to repair the damage to space-time without a complete reset." "But where do we even start?" Mara asked. "The universe is vast, and we're running out of time." Jackson was already pulling up star charts on the holographic display. "We'll need to cross-reference the Vortexian archives with our own data on space-time anomalies. Maybe we can find a pattern, something that could lead us to the components." As the team threw themselves into the research, Eliara couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. This was humanity at its best, innovative, determined, refusing to give up even in the face of cosmic odds. Hours blended into days as they scoured the archives and analyzed data. Sleep became a luxury as they raced against the clock, watching helplessly as more regions of space succumbed to the unraveling. It was Kai who finally spotted the pattern. "Look here," he said, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep but filled with excitement. "These anomalies aren't random. They're forming a pattern across galaxies, like a giant web." Eliara leaned in, her eyes widening as she saw what Kai had discovered. "It's a map," she breathed. "The unraveling itself is showing us where the components are hidden." The curator's form shimmered with what might have been approval. "Clever. The Cosmic Loom was designed to maintain the fabric of reality. Even in its dismantled state, it's trying to reassemble itself." With renewed energy, the team plotted a course. Their journey would take them to the farthest reaches of known space and beyond. each stop bringing them closer to their goal, but also deeper into danger. As the Nautilus prepared to make the first jump, Eliara addressed her crew. "I won't lie to you. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We'll be facing dangers we can't even imagine. But I can't think of any team I'd rather have by my side." Jackson grinned, the old spark of adventure in his eyes. "Come on, Doc. Impossible odds, cosmic mysteries, the fate of the universe hanging in the balance. It's just another Tuesday for us." The laughter that rippled through the bridge was tinged with nervousness, but also determination. As they made the jump into the unknown, Eliara felt that familiar mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to embark on the greatest scavenger hunt in the history of the universe, with reality itself as the prize. The Nautilus streaked across the cosmos, a tiny speck of hope against the vast canvas of creation. The race to save existence had begun, and humanity was leading the charge. The Nautilus emerged from its first jump into a scene of breathtaking beauty and terrifying destruction. Before them stretched the remnants of a dying galaxy, its stars pulsing with erratic energy as space-time fluctuations tore at the very fabric of reality. "My God," Mara whispered, her eyes wide as she took in the readings. "The level of entropy here is off the charts. This entire sector could collapse at any moment." Eliara nodded grimly. "Then we'd better work fast. Jackson, what's the status on the first component?" Jackson's fingers flew over his console, correlating data from their sensors with the ancient Vortexian star charts. "I'm picking up an energy signature that matches the curator's descriptions. It's coming from inside that dying star." Kai let out a low whistle. "Inside a star? Well, that's going to make retrieval interesting." "Can the Nautilus withstand those conditions?" Eliara asked, her mind already racing through potential solutions. "Not a chance," Jackson replied. "We'd be vaporized before we got anywhere near the core." The curator's form shimmered as it joined the discussion. "Perhaps not the ship itself, but we might be able to modify one of your probes. With Vortexian shielding technology, it could potentially survive long enough to retrieve the component." Eliara felt a surge of excitement. This was where humanity's ingenuity truly shone through. "Jackson, Mara, you're on probe modification. Kai, plot us a course that'll get us as close as safely possible. I want options in 2 hours." As the team sprang into action, Eliara retreated to her quarters for a moment of quiet reflection. The weight of their mission pressed heavily on her shoulders. Billions of lives, countless civilizations all hanging in the balance. And yet, as she looked out at the dying galaxy, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the scale of what they were attempting. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Dr. Trent," Kai's voice came through the comm. "We're picking up some unusual readings. You might want to see this." Back on the bridge, Eliara found her team gathered around the main view screen. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Amidst the chaos of the disintegrating galaxy, patterns were forming. Streams of energy and matter were coalescing into intricate, fractal-like structures. "It's beautiful," Mara breathed. "But what is it?" The curator's thoughts carried a note of wonder. "It appears to be a new form of matter-energy interaction. Something born from the collision of our universe's physics and the encroaching chaos." Jackson's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. Could this be what the primordials were talking about? New forms of existence emerging from the destruction of the old? Eliara felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. They weren't just fighting to preserve the existing universe. They were witnessing the birth of something entirely new. "We need to study this," she decided. "It could be crucial to understanding how to stabilize reality without losing the potential for growth and change." As if in response to her words, one of the fractal structures suddenly pulsed with blinding energy. A beam of impossible light shot out, narrowly missing the Nautilus. "Evasive maneuvers," Kai shouted, his hands flying over the controls. The ship lurched as Kai expertly guided it through the increasingly unstable space. More energy beams lashed out, some seeming to bend and twist in ways that defied normal physics. It's like the new physics are actively hostile to our presence, Jackson observed, his voice tight with concentration as he worked to modulate their shields. Eliara gripped her console, her mind racing. They needed that component, but they also needed to understand this new phenomenon. Both could be key to their mission's success. Kai, can you get us closer to that dying star without putting us in the path of those energy beams? She asked. Kai's face was a mask of determination. It'll be tricky, but I think I can plot a course through the calmer areas of space-time fluctuation. Do it, Eliara commanded. Jackson, is the probe ready? As ready as it'll ever be, Jackson replied. But Eliara, even with the modifications, we'll only have one shot at this. Eliara nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Then we'd better make it count. Prepare for probe launch on my mark. As the Nautilus carefully navigated the treacherous space, dancing between lashes of reality warping energy and pockets of collapsing space-time, Eliara felt that familiar mix of fear and exhilaration. They were pushing the boundaries of known science, risking everything on a desperate gambit to save the universe. But as she looked at her team, each focused intently on their tasks, she knew they were exactly where they needed to be. Humanity had come too far, overcome too much, to falter now. Approaching optimal launch position, Kai announced. Eliara took a deep breath. This was it. The first step in their cosmic scavenger hunt, with the fate of all existence hanging in the balance. Launch the probe, she commanded, her voice steady and clear. As the probe shot towards the dying star, carrying with it the hopes of countless civilizations, Eliara silently urged it on. The race against cosmic entropy had truly begun. The probe's journey into the dying star seemed to stretch on for an eternity. Eliara and her team watched with bated breath as it plunged deeper into the roiling plasma, its vortexian shields glowing white-hot from the strain. Probe integrity at 78% and falling, Jackson reported, his voice tight with tension. Core temperature is approaching critical levels. Mara's eyes were glued to her own readouts. The energy signature is getting stronger. We're close. Suddenly, the probe's camera feed flickered to life, revealing a sight that defied description. At the heart of the star, suspended in a maelstrom of plasma and gravitational forces, floated a device of impossible geometry. It pulsed with an energy that seemed to bend light itself around it. That's it, the curator's thoughts resonated with awe. The first component of the Cosmic Loom. Probe integrity down to 45%, Jackson warned. We're running out of time. Eliara leaned forward, her knuckles white as she gripped her console. Come on, she muttered. Just a little closer. The probe inched towards the component, fighting against the star's immense gravity. Just as it seemed it would fail, its retrieval arm shot out, grasping the device. Got it, Kai shouted triumphantly. But their victory was short-lived. The moment the probe touched the component, the star's core began to destabilize at an alarming rate. Energy levels are spiking off the charts, Mara reported, her voice filled with urgency. The star's going supernova. Full reverse thrust, Eliara commanded. Get us out of here, now. Kai's hands flew over the controls, guiding the Nautilus away from the impending explosion. The probe, its mission complete, was left behind, consumed by the star's final death throes. As they raced away, the viewscreen filled with blinding light. The shockwave hit them like a physical blow, sending the ship tumbling through space. Hull breach on Deck 3, Jackson shouted over the blaring alarms. Emergency force fields are holding, but barely. For several heart-stopping moments, it seemed as though the Nautilus would be torn apart. But then, as suddenly as it began, the chaos subsided. The ship stabilized, and an eerie silence fell over the bridge. Eliara took a shaky breath. Status report. We're alive. Somehow, Kai replied, his voice filled with disbelief. But, you need to see this. The viewscreen flickered back to life, revealing a sight that left them all speechless. Where the dying galaxy had been, there was now nothing. and vast emptiness stretched as far as their sensors could detect. "It's gone," Mara whispered. "The entire galaxy, just erased." The weight of what they'd just witnessed settled heavily on Eliara's shoulders. An entire galaxy, countless stars and planets, potentially teeming with life, all gone in an instant. And they had been the catalyst. "The component," she said, forcing herself to focus. "Did we get it?" Jackson nodded, gesturing to a small, secure container near his station. "It's here. But Eliara, the energy it's giving off, it's like nothing I've ever seen. It's as if it exists in multiple states of reality simultaneously." The curator's form shimmered with what might have been concern. The Cosmic Loom components were never meant to be separated for this long. Their very nature defies the laws of our universe. We must proceed with extreme caution. Eliara nodded grimly. "Agreed, but we can't stop now. Plot a course for the next component. We need to." Her words were cut off as the ship suddenly lurched, nearly throwing them off their feet. Alarms blared as reality itself seemed to twist around them. "What's happening?" Eliara demanded, struggling to maintain her balance. Kai's hands flew over his controls. "I don't know. It's as if space-time is warping around us. I can't get a fix on our position." As they watched in horror, the emptiness outside began to fill with swirling, fractal patterns of energy. The same beautiful yet terrifying structures they had observed earlier were now engulfing the ship. "It's the new physics," Jackson realized, his voice filled with awe and fear. "We're not just observing it anymore, we're being pulled into it." Eliara's mind raced. They were venturing into a realm where the very laws of reality were in flux. Everything they knew, every bit of science and technology they relied on, might be useless or even dangerous here. But as she looked at her team, she saw not defeat, but determination. They had faced the impossible before and come out on top. This would be no different. "All right, listen up," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We're in uncharted territory now, but that's what we do best. Jackson, Mara, I want you analyzing every bit of data we can gather about this new realm. Kai, do your best to keep us stable. And everyone, brace yourselves. We're about to go where no human has gone before." As the Nautilus was pulled deeper into the swirling maelstrom of new physics, Eliara felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. They had taken the first step in their mission to save reality, but the cost had been enormous. And now they were plunging into a realm beyond their comprehension. But isn't that what humanity did best? Push boundaries, explore the unknown, and find a way to thrive where others would falter. As the familiar universe faded away behind them, Eliara steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun. The Nautilus drifted through a realm that defied description. Colors that shouldn't exist painted impossible landscapes across the void. Matter and energy intertwined in ways that made Eliara's mind reel. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly alien. "Fascinating," Jackson muttered, his eyes glued to his console. "The laws of physics as we know them simply don't apply here. It's as if reality itself is in a constant state of flux." Mara nodded, her face illuminated by the swirling patterns outside. "It's like we're seeing the raw building blocks of the universe. Pure potential, unbound by the constraints of our reality." Eliara felt a mix of scientific curiosity and primal fear. They were witnessing something no human had ever seen before, but at what cost? And more importantly, how were they going to find the next component of the Cosmic Loom in this chaos? "Curator," she called out, "any insights? Have the Vortexians ever encountered anything like this?" The curator's form shimmered into view, its usual composed demeanor showing signs of strain. "This realm exists beyond even our understanding, Dr. Trent. We are in uncharted territory." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Kai's hands flew over his controls, fighting to keep them stable. "We've got company," he shouted. On the viewscreen, shapes began to coalesce from the swirling energy. They were vaguely reminiscent of Earth's deep-sea creatures, but composed of pure light and impossible geometry. Are they alive? Mara wondered aloud, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. Before anyone could respond, one of the entities brushed against the ship's hull. In an instant, Eliara's mind was flooded with alien sensations and concepts that threatened to overwhelm her. "They're trying to communicate," she gasped, struggling to process the information. "But it's too much. Too alien." Jackson was at her side in an instant, his face etched with concern. "Eliara, your nose is bleeding. Whatever this is, it's putting too much strain on your mind." The curator's thoughts cut through the chaos. These beings, they are not bound by linear time or three-dimensional space. Their very existence is anathema to our reality. As the light creatures continued to swarm around the ship, Eliara fought to make sense of the information flooding her mind. Fragments of understanding began to form amidst the chaos. "They're custodians," she managed to say, "guardians of this realm. They're curious about us, but also afraid. They think we're a threat to the balance here." Kai's voice was tight with tension. "Well, can you tell them we come in peace? Because they're doing something to the ship, and I don't think it's friendly." Indeed, the Nautilus was beginning to change. Its hull seemed to be dissolving, merging with the swirling energy around them. "They're trying to integrate us into their realm," the curator realized, "to make us a part of this new reality." Panic began to set in among the crew. Everything they knew, everything they were, was about to be unmade and rewritten according to laws they couldn't comprehend. But Eliara refused to give up. Humanity had come too far, overcome too much, to falter now. With a supreme effort of will, she focused her thoughts, reaching out to the light creatures. "Wait," she projected, both mentally and aloud. "We are not your enemies. We seek to preserve, to protect, just as you do." The assault on the ship paused. Eliara felt the collective consciousness of the light creatures probing her mind, sifting through her memories and intentions. "Show them," the curator urged. "Show them why we're here." Eliara nodded, and with the curator's help, she opened her mind fully. She showed the light creatures the unraveling of their universe, the threat to all existence. She shared humanity's journey from the depths of Earth's oceans to the stars, their partnership with the Vortexians, and their desperate mission to save reality itself. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, there was silence. Then, slowly, the pressure on the ship began to ease. The hull reformed, solidifying once more. "I think," Eliara said cautiously, "they understand." As if in response, one of the light creatures detached from the group, approaching the viewscreen. It pulsed with energy, and suddenly a clear image formed in Eliara's mind. She saw another component of the Cosmic Loom, hidden deep within this realm of new physics. "They're helping us," she realized, a smile breaking across her face. "They're showing us the way to the next component." The tension on the bridge broke, replaced by a cautious optimism. They had faced the unknown, and, once again, humanity's ability to communicate, to find common ground, had seen them through. "Plot a course," Eliara commanded, her voice filled with renewed determination. "We've got a universe to save." As the Nautilus began to move, guided by the light creatures through the impossible landscape, Eliara felt a surge of hope. They were one step closer to their goal, and they had made new allies in a realm beyond imagination. The journey to save reality continued, with humanity leading the charge into the unknown. The Nautilus glided through the ever-shifting landscape of the new physics realm, guided by the ethereal light creatures. Eliara stood at the helm, her mind still reeling from the alien contact, but filled with a renewed sense of purpose. "We're approaching something," Kai reported, his brow furrowed in concentration. "But I can't get a clear reading. It's as if the sensors can't decide what they're seeing." Jackson nodded, his eyes glued to his own readouts. "It's like Schrödinger's cat on a cosmic scale. The structure exists in multiple states simultaneously." As they drew closer, the viewscreen filled with a sight that defied comprehension. Before them loomed a massive structure, if it could be called that. It shifted and pulsed, sometimes appearing as a crystalline lattice, other times as a swirling vortex of energy, and occasionally as something so alien it hurt to look at directly. "That's it," Eliara breathed, somehow certain. "The next component of the Cosmic Loom is in there." The curator's form shimmered with what might have been concern. "Be cautious, Dr. Trent. This place, it does not adhere to the laws of our reality. Your very thoughts could reshape the environment around you." Mara's eyes widened at the implication. "So we're not just exploring this realm, we're actively influencing it." "Precisely," the curator confirmed. "Your expectations, your fears, your desires, they all have power here." Eliara took a deep breath, steeling herself. "All right, team. We need to stay focused. Think only of our mission, of finding the component. Don't let your mind wander to other possibilities." As if to underscore her words, a tendril of energy reached out from the structure, probing towards the ship. Where it touched, reality seemed to warp and twist. "Evasive maneuvers," Kai shouted, his hands flying over the controls. The Nautilus banked hard, narrowly avoiding the tendril. But as they watched, more began to emerge, reaching out like the tentacles of some cosmic kraken. "It's responding to our presence," Jackson realized. "Or to our thoughts about it being a threat." Eliara's mind raced. If their thoughts were shaping this reality, then they needed to change their approach. Fighting against it would only make things worse. "Everyone, listen to me," she commanded, her voice cutting through the rising panic. "We need to change our perspective. Don't think of this place as hostile. Imagine it as a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be overcome through intellect, not force." As the crew focused on this new mindset, the tendrils began to retreat. The structure before them shifted again, this time taking on a more ordered, almost inviting appearance. "It's working," Mara whispered in awe. "We're literally reshaping reality with our thoughts." Eliara nodded, a plan forming in her mind. "All right, here's what we're going to do. Jackson, Mara, I want you to focus on the scientific principles we know about the Cosmic Loom. Visualize how it might interface with this realm of new physics." As the two scientists concentrated, the structure before them began to change once more. Patterns emerged, reminiscent of the complex equations that governed quantum mechanics and string theory. "Kai," Eliara continued, "think about navigation. Imagine a clear path through this structure, leading us directly to the component." Kai closed his eyes, his face a mask of concentration. Slowly, a pathway began to form amidst the swirling chaos, leading into the heart of the structure. "It's incredible," he murmured. "I can almost see the route in my mind." Eliara felt a surge of pride in her team. Once again, humanity's adaptability and creativity were proving to be their greatest strengths. "Take us in, Kai," she ordered. "Nice and easy." As the Nautilus glided along the imagined path, Eliara reached out with her mind, focusing on their goal. She pictured the component clearly, willing it to reveal itself. Suddenly, at the heart of the structure, a bright point of light flared into existence. It pulsed with an energy that seemed to resonate with the first component they had retrieved. "There," Eliara exclaimed. "That's it." But as they approached, the light began to flicker and fade, as if shy of their presence. "It's unstable," the curator warned. "The component exists in a state of quantum superposition. Observing it directly could collapse its waveform, potentially destroying it." Eliara's mind raced. They needed to retrieve the component without directly interacting with it, a seemingly impossible task. Then, an idea struck her. What if? What if we don't try to retrieve it at all? What if we convince it to come to us? Jackson looked at her, puzzled. "You mean, like, ask it nicely?" Eliara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "In a manner of speaking, we're in a realm where thought shapes reality, right? So let's think of the component as something that wants to be found, that wants to fulfill its purpose." Understanding dawned on the faces of her crew. As one, they closed their eyes, concentrating on the idea of the component willingly joining them, of it being an integral part of their mission to save the universe. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the point of light began to move. It drifted towards them, growing brighter and more defined with each passing second. "It's working," Mara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. As the light reached the Nautilus, it passed through the hull as if it were insubstantial. It hovered for a moment in the center of the bridge, then gently settled into the containment unit next to the first component. The moment the two pieces were reunited, a surge of energy pulsed through the ship. For an instant, Eliara felt as if she could see the entire universe, from the smallest quantum particle to the largest galactic supercluster, all interconnected in a vast, beautiful web. Then, as quickly as it had come, the sensation faded. Eliara found herself back on the bridge, her crew looking as dazed as she felt. "Two down," Jackson said, breaking the silence. "How many more to go?" Before Eliara could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Outside, the realm of new physics was changing, reality itself seeming to tear at the seams. "We've destabilized this pocket of space-time," the curator warned. "We need to leave, now." As Kai frantically worked to navigate them out of the collapsing realm, Eliara couldn't help but feel a mix of triumph and trepidation. They were one step closer to their goal, but the challenges were only growing more extreme. The race to save reality continued, with the fate of the universe hanging in the balance. The Nautilus burst out of the collapsing realm of new physics, alarms blaring as the ship's systems struggled to adapt to normal space-time. Kai's hands flew over the controls, stabilizing their trajectory as reality settled around them. "Status report," Eliara called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. Jackson was the first to respond, his eyes darting between multiple displays. "Hull integrity at 82%. We've got some minor breaches, but the emergency force fields are holding. The good news is, both components of the Cosmic Loom are stable and secure." Mara chimed in next, her face pale but determined. "Life support is functional, but we're detecting some anomalies. It's as if our brief exposure to the new physics has altered some fundamental properties of matter on the ship." Eliara felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of anomalies? As if in answer to her question, a nearby console suddenly flickered and seemed to phase out of existence for a moment before solidifying again. The curator's form shimmered into view, its usual calm demeanor tinged with concern. "The boundaries between realities are growing thinner. Our actions, while necessary, are accelerating the breakdown of the cosmic order." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. They were racing against time to save the universe, but their very efforts might be hastening its demise. Eliara took a deep breath, centering herself. "We can't stop now. Curator, where do we go next? Where's the third component?" The curator was silent for a moment, its form pulsing with energy as it communed with some vast, unseen network of knowledge. When it spoke, its thoughts carried a weight of foreboding. "The third component lies in a place of great danger, a nexus point where multiple timelines converge. It is guarded by echoes." "Echoes?" Kai asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Remnants of potential futures and pasts," the curator explained. "Versions of reality that might have been, or might yet be. They are drawn to the component, seeking to use its power to make their timelines the dominant reality." Jackson let out a low whistle. "So we're not just dealing with spatial anomalies now, but temporal ones too. Fantastic." Despite the gravity of the situation, Eliara felt a spark of excitement. This was the kind of challenge that humanity thrived on, pushing the boundaries of the known, venturing into realms of possibility that defied imagination. "All right," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We've come too far to back down now. Kai, set a course for this temporal nexus. Jackson, Mara, I want you working on ways to shield us from these echoes. We need to be prepared for anything." As the team sprang into action, Eliara felt the ship lurch as it entered faster than light travel. The viewscreen filled with streaks of light as they hurtled towards their next destination. Hours passed in a blur of preparation and speculation. Jackson and Mara worked tirelessly, modifying their shields and sensors to detect and potentially neutralize temporal anomalies. Kai ran countless simulations, trying to predict the unpredictable nature of a place where multiple timelines converged. Finally, the Nautilus dropped out of FTL, and Eliara's breath caught in her throat at the sight before them. The temporal nexus was a swirling maelstrom of energy, with strands of light representing different timelines weaving in and out of a central point. And there, at the heart of the chaos, a pulsing node of energy that could only be the third component of the Cosmic Loom. But surrounding it were shapes, ghostly apparitions that flickered in and out of existence. Some looked almost human, others were utterly alien. All of them seemed to be reaching for the component with a desperate hunger. "The echoes," Eliara murmured. They're us, or versions of us, from timelines where we failed, or never existed, or took a different path." As if sensing their presence, some of the echoes turned towards the Nautilus. Eliara saw versions of herself, some older, some younger, some changed in ways she couldn't comprehend. She saw her crew members, altered by choices and events she could only imagine. "This is unsettling," Kai said, his voice tight with tension. Eliara nodded, steeling herself. "Remember, these aren't real, not in our timeline. They're possibilities, nothing more. We need to focus on our mission." But even as she spoke, one of the echoes, a version of Jackson with cybernetic implants and a haunted look in his eyes, seemed to lock eyes with her. Its mouth moved, and though no sound could travel through the void, Eliara could read the words on its lips. "Turn back. You don't know what you're unleashing." For a moment, doubt crept into Eliara's mind. What if they were wrong? What if their efforts to save reality were actually dooming it? But then she remembered everything they'd been through, all the civilizations counting on them. They couldn't turn back now. "Prepare for temporal shielding," she commanded, her voice steady. "We're going in." As the Nautilus edged closer to the heart of the temporal nexus, Eliara felt the weight of countless potential futures pressing in on them. Whatever happened next would determine not just their fate, but the fate of all reality. The final push to retrieve the third component of the Cosmic Loom was about to begin, and Eliara knew it would be their greatest challenge yet. The Nautilus inched forward, its temporal shield straining against the onslaught of conflicting realities. Eliara stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the pulsing energy of the third component, willing the ship forward through sheer force of determination. "Temporal fluctuations increasing," Jackson reported, his voice tight with concentration. "Our shields are holding, but barely. We're experiencing time dilation effects." Eliara nodded, feeling the strange sensation of time stretching and compressing around them. "Kai, maintain our course. Mara, keep an eye on those echoes. If any of them get too close, I want to know about it." As they drew nearer to the component, the echoes became more agitated. Ghostly figures swirled around the ship, some pleading, others threatening. Eliara saw versions of herself at different ages, in different uniforms, some bearing scars or cybernetic enhancements she'd never received. One echo, a grizzled version of Kai with an eye patch, pressed against the viewscreen. His mouth moved, forming words that sent a chill down Eliara's spine. "The loom is a trap. It will consume everything." "Don't listen to them," the curator warned, its form flickering as it struggled to maintain coherence in the temporal maelstrom. "They are fragments of possibilities, not truths." Suddenly, the ship lurched violently. Alarms blared as systems throughout the Nautilus began to malfunction. "We're losing temporal stability," Mara shouted over the din. "The echoes, they're trying to merge with us, to overwrite our timeline." Eliara felt it, then a strange doubling of her consciousness. She saw flashes of lives she'd never lived, choices she'd never made. For a moment, she was simultaneously a decorated admiral, a disgraced exile, and a transcendent being of pure energy. "Focus," she commanded, as much to herself as to her crew. "Remember who you are, why we're here. Our timeline, our mission, is the one that matters." With a supreme effort of will, Eliara pushed back against the invading memories and possibilities. She saw her crew doing the same, their faces contorted with effort as they fought to maintain their identities. "We're almost there," Kai grunted, his hands steady on the controls despite the sweat beading on his brow. Just a few more seconds. The component loomed large in the view screen now, its energy pulsing in sync with the two pieces they'd already collected. As they watched, tendrils of light reached out from the Nautilus, drawn to the component like iron filings to a magnet. "It's the other pieces," Jackson realized. "They're resonating with each other, trying to reconnect." For a moment, hope surged through Eliara. They were so close, just inches away from securing the third piece of the Cosmic Loom. But then, everything went wrong. A massive temporal wave slammed into the Nautilus, more powerful than anything they'd encountered so far. Eliara felt reality itself twist and warp around them. The view screen filled with a kaleidoscope of possibilities, timelines splitting and recombining at dizzying speed. "We're losing cohesion," Mara cried out. "The ship. It's existing in multiple states at once." Eliara looked down at her hands, horrified to see them flickering between different versions of herself. Young, old, augmented, alien, all possibilities made manifest in this crucible of tangled timelines. In that moment of crisis, a clarity struck Eliara. They had been fighting against the temporal currents, trying to impose their will on this nexus of realities. But what if that was the wrong approach? "Everyone, listen to me," she called out, her voice echoing strangely as if coming from multiple versions of herself at once. "Stop fighting. Instead, embrace the possibilities. See them, acknowledge them, but choose our path." "What?" Jackson's voice came, confused and strained. "Eliara, we're falling apart." "Trust me," she insisted. "This is a place of choice, of potential. By accepting all possibilities, we affirm our choice, our timeline." It was a leap of faith, but Eliara knew in her core that it was the right move. She closed her eyes, opening her mind to the flood of alternate selves that pressed in on her consciousness. She saw lives lived, choices made, paths taken and not taken, and through it all, she held on to the thread of her own existence, the mission that had brought them here. Around her, she sensed her crew doing the same. The chaos in the ship began to subside, replaced by a strange harmony of possibilities. And then, with a sound like reality itself sighing in relief, everything snapped back into focus. Eliara opened her eyes to find herself whole, singular, standing on the bridge of the Nautilus. Before them, the third component of the Cosmic Loom hung suspended, no longer guarded by echoes but waiting to be claimed. We did it," Kai breathed, his voice filled with awe. Eliara nodded, a smile breaking across her face despite her exhaustion. "Bring it in, Kai." Gently. As the component was drawn into the ship, joining its two counterparts, Eliara felt a surge of triumph. They had faced the very fabric of time itself and emerged victorious, not through force, but through understanding and acceptance. But even as they secured the third piece of the Cosmic Loom, Eliara knew their greatest challenge still lay ahead. The final component awaited, and with it, the ultimate test of humanity's role in the cosmic order. The Nautilus turned away from the temporal nexus, its course set for the final leg of their universe-saving journey. Eliara looked at her crew, seeing in their eyes the same determination and wonder that burned within her. Whatever came next, they would face it together, as they had every challenge before. The fate of all reality hung in the balance, and humanity stood ready to rise to the occasion once more. The Nautilus drifted through the void, its systems humming with the combined energy of the three Cosmic Loom components. Eliara stood at the center of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display, showing their final destination. "The primordial void," the curator intoned, its form shimmering with a mix of anticipation and dread. "The place where our universe was born, and where it may yet end. The final component lies within." Jackson let out a low whistle. "The birthplace of the universe? No pressure or anything." Eliara nodded, feeling the weight of their mission more acutely than ever. "What can we expect, Curator? What defenses will we face?" The curator's form pulsed, its thoughts tinged with uncertainty. The void exists outside of space and time as we understand them. It is a place of pure potential, where the laws of physics are more suggestion than rule, and it is guarded by the primordials themselves. A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. They had faced incredible challenges to get this far, but this final hurdle seemed almost insurmountable. Kai's voice broke the silence, steady and determined. "Well, we've come too far to turn back now. Just point me in the right direction, and I'll get us there." Eliara felt a surge of pride in her crew. Despite the odds, despite the cosmic forces arrayed against them, they remained committed to their mission. It was this spirit, she realized, that made humanity unique in the universe. "All right," she said, her voice filled with resolve. "Let's do this. For every life in every galaxy, for the very fabric of reality itself, we're going to see this through." As the Nautilus approached the coordinates of the primordial void, reality began to warp around them. The stars seemed to bend and twist, and the very concept of direction became meaningless. "We're losing all standard navigation," Kai reported, his hands dancing over controls that seemed to shift and change beneath his fingers. "I'm flying blind here." Mara's voice was tight with concentration as she monitored their systems. "The laws of physics are breaking down. Our sensors are picking up everything and nothing simultaneously." Eliara felt it too, a sensation of both expansion and contraction, as if they were everywhere and nowhere at once. "Stay focused," she commanded. "Remember why we're here. Let that be our anchor." Suddenly, the viewscreen filled with a sight that defied description. It was as if they were looking at the universe from the outside, a vast, cosmic egg cradled in tendrils of pure possibility. And there, at the very edge of existence, floated a structure of impossible geometry, the final component of the Cosmic Loom. But before they could approach, a presence made itself known. The primordials manifested around the Nautilus, their forms shifting between states of matter and energy that human minds could barely comprehend. "You have come far, children of Earth," the collective voice of the primordials resonated in their minds. "But your journey ends here. The cycle must continue. Reality must be renewed." Eliara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the awe and fear coursing through her. "We understand the importance of renewal, of growth. But surely there must be a way to achieve that without the wholesale destruction of all that exists." The primordial's response was tinged with what might have been curiosity. "You propose an alternative. Speak, human. We will listen." This was it, Eliara realized, the moment everything had been leading to. She thought of their journey, of the wonders and horrors they'd witnessed, of the countless civilizations counting on them, of humanity's unique place in the cosmos. "We propose a synthesis," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Not a reset, but an evolution. Use the Cosmic Loom not to erase and rewrite, but to weave the old and the new together. Let the existing universe be the foundation for new growth, new possibilities." She gestured to her crew, to the ship around them. "Humanity has shown that adaptation, that finding a middle path, is possible. We've faced the depths of our oceans and the heights of cosmic challenges. We've learned to bridge gaps between species, between realities. Let us be the catalyst for this new kind of renewal." The primordials were silent for a long moment, their forms swirling in contemplation. Then, slowly, they parted, revealing the path to the final component. "Your proposal is intriguing," they communed. "Retrieve the final piece. Show us this synthesis you speak of. But be warned, if you fail, if your actions threaten the cosmic balance, we will not hesitate to enact the reset." Eliara nodded, understanding the gravity of the chance they'd been given. "Thank you. We won't let you or the universe down." As the Nautilus approached the final component, Eliara felt a sense of destiny settling over her. Everything they'd been through, every challenge they'd overcome, had led to this moment. The component called to them, resonating with the three pieces they'd already collected. As it was drawn into the ship, joining its counterparts, a surge of energy unlike anything they'd ever experienced pulsed through the Nautilus. Eliara gasped as knowledge flooded her mind, cosmic secrets and universal truths beyond human comprehension. She saw the intricate weave of reality, the delicate balance of forces that held existence together, and she understood what needed to be done. "Everyone," she called out, her voice filled with wonder and determination, "take your stations. We're about to rewrite the story of the universe, and this time, humanity will be the authors." As her crew moved into position, each of them glowing with the power of the Cosmic Loom, Eliara felt a profound sense of purpose. They stood at the crossroads of eternity, with the fate of all reality in their hands. The final chapter of their cosmic odyssey was about to be written, and Eliara knew that whatever the outcome, humanity had proven itself worthy of its place among the stars. With a deep breath, she gave the command that would shape the destiny of the universe: initiate the synthesis. The Nautilus blazed with divine light, and the work of cosmic renewal began. The hum of awakening systems filled the air as Dr. Eliara Trent's eyes fluttered open. The familiar confines of her stasis pod came into focus, but something felt different. The very air seemed to shimmer with an energy she couldn't quite place. "Status report," she croaked, her voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. The ship's AI responded, its tone carrying an unfamiliar note of wonder. "Welcome back, Dr. Trent. All crew members are safely emerging from stasis. However, I must inform you that things have changed." Eliara's mind, still foggy from the long sleep, struggled to process the implications. "Changed? How long were we under?" "Approximately 500 years, Doctor. But time has become a fluid concept." As Eliara stepped out of her pod, she gasped. The walls of the Nautilus seemed to shift and flow, patterns of energy dancing across surfaces that should have been solid metal. Through the viewport, she saw a cosmos unlike anything she'd ever imagined. Stars pulsed with rhythmic energy, their light bending in impossible ways. Nebulae twisted into fractal patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. And weaving through it all were threads of pure possibility, binding the fabric of reality together in new and wondrous ways. "The synthesis," Eliara breathed, memories of their last mission flooding back. It worked. Jackson Reed appeared beside her, his eyes wide as he took in the transformed universe. "Worked? Eliara, I think we might have overdone it a bit." Before she could respond, Kai's voice came over the intercom, tight with a mix of awe and concern. "You both need to get to the bridge, now." As they made their way through the ship, Eliara noticed that every surface seemed alive with potential. Equations and cosmic truths flickered at the edge of her vision, as if the knowledge of the universe itself was trying to communicate with her. The bridge was a hive of activity when they arrived. Kai stood at the helm, his hands dancing over controls that seemed to anticipate his commands. Mara hunched over her station, sifting through data readings that defied conventional understanding. "What's the situation?" Eliara asked, slipping back into command mode despite her lingering disorientation. Kai turned to her, his face grave. "We're picking up some kind of disturbance, a wave of chaos spreading through the cosmos, unraveling the new order we created." Mara nodded, her eyes never leaving her screens. "We're calling it the entropy tide. It's like a cascade failure in the cosmic programming, threatening to undo the synthesis." Eliara felt a chill run down her spine. They had reshaped the universe, merged realities in ways never before attempted. Of course there would be consequences. But this... "Show me," she commanded. The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a vista that took Eliara's breath away. The new cosmos stretched out before them, a tapestry of merged realities and limitless potential. But at the edges of their vision, a darkness lurked. It moved like a living thing, consuming the intricate weave of the universe and leaving nothing but void in its wake. "How long do we have?" Eliara asked, her mind already racing with potential solutions. Jackson, who had been running calculations, looked up with a grim expression. "At its current rate of expansion, maybe a few months before it reaches the core of inhabited space. After that..." He didn't need to finish the thought. They all knew what was at stake. Everything they had fought for, every life in every merged reality, hung in the balance. Eliara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenge ahead. They had reshaped the cosmos once. Now, they would have to save it all over again. "All right, team," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We created this new universe. That means we're responsible for protecting it. Kai, set a course for the leading edge of the entropy tide. Jackson, Mara, I want every scrap of data we can gather on this phenomenon. We need to understand it if we're going to stop it." As the crew sprang into action, Eliara turned her gaze back to the view screen. The universe they had woven stretched out before them, beautiful and terrifying in its complexity. And somewhere out there, the answers they sought awaited. The Nautilus surged forward, its systems humming with the power of the transformed cosmos. Once again, humanity found itself at the forefront of a battle for existence itself. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever before. The next chapter of their cosmic odyssey had begun, and Eliara knew that the true test of their creation was only just beginning. The Nautilus glided through the transformed cosmos, its hull shimmering with the energy of merged realities. Eliara stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the approaching edge of the entropy tide. The void seemed to twist and writhe, a hungry darkness that devoured the intricate weave of the new universe. Entering the affected zone in 3, 2, 1. Kai's voice was steady, but Eliara could sense the tension underlying his words. The moment they crossed the threshold, alarms blared throughout the ship. Reality itself seemed to shudder around them. "Hull integrity fluctuating," Jackson reported, his fingers flying over his console. "The laws of physics are unstable here. It's like the fundamental constants are shifting randomly." Eliara nodded grimly. "Mara, what are our sensors telling us about the entropy tide?" Mara's face was illuminated by the glow of her screens, her expression a mix of fascination and horror. It's not just destroying, Eliara, it's unweaving. The synthesis created a new cosmic tapestry, and this force is pulling it apart thread by thread." As if to underscore her words, a nearby star suddenly winked out of existence. Not in a spectacular explosion, but simply unraveling, its light and energy dissipating into the void. "We need to get closer," Eliara decided. "We need to understand the source of this entropy tide if we're going to have any hope of stopping it." Kai's hands tightened on the controls. "Closer, Doc. We're already pushing the ship to its limits. Any deeper into this chaos and we might not make it back out." "We don't have a choice," Eliara countered. "The fate of everything we created is at stake. Take us in, Kai. Nice and easy." As the Nautilus edged deeper into the affected zone, the universe around them began to fray. Reality flickered, showing glimpses of what might have been other timelines, other possibilities that had been merged in the synthesis. Suddenly, a massive shape loomed before them. It was a Vortexian city ship, but unlike any they had seen before. Its structure seemed to phase in and out of existence, its very form a testament to the new laws of physics they had helped create. "We're being hailed," Kai announced, surprise evident in his voice. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a being that took Eliara's breath away. It was clearly Vortexian in origin, but evolved far beyond what they had known. Its form was a swirling mass of energy and matter, its consciousness seemingly spread across multiple dimensions. "Greetings, weavers of synthesis," the Neo-Vortexians' thoughts resonated directly in their minds. "We had hoped you would awaken. The tapestry unravels, and the loom calls for its creators." Eliara stepped forward, her mind reeling from the contact. "We've seen the entropy tide. We're here to stop it. Can you help us understand what's happening?" The Neo-Vortexians' form pulsed with what might have been sadness. The synthesis was a grand experiment, a merging of realities beyond anything attempted before. But in weaving the new, you created gaps, spaces between the threads where anti-reality festers and grows. "Anti-reality," Jackson interjected, his scientific curiosity overriding his awe. "You mean like antimatter, but for existence itself?" A crude but not inaccurate analogy, the Neo-Vortexian confirmed. This entropy tide, as you call it, is the universe attempting to resolve the paradoxes created by the synthesis. It seeks equilibrium, even if that equilibrium is void. Eliara felt a weight settle in her chest. They had reshaped reality with the best of intentions, but in doing so, they had created a threat that could undo everything. There must be a way to stop it, she insisted. To stabilize the new cosmic order without unraveling everything we've created. The Neo-Vortexian's form shimmered with what might have been approval. Your determination is admirable, Weaver. There may yet be a way, but it will require a journey to the very heart of the entropy tide, to the place where reality and anti-reality collide. As the implications of this sank in, alarms blared once again. Mara's voice cut through the chaos. Eliara, we've got incoming. Multiple signatures, unlike anything I've ever seen. The viewscreen shifted, showing a swarm of entities approaching rapidly. They moved like a fluid, their forms constantly shifting and reforming. Where they passed, the fabric of space-time seemed to unravel in their wake. Entropy weavers, the Neo-Vortexian's thoughts carried a note of dread. Manifestations of the cosmic instability. They seek to undo the grand tapestry, to return all to the void. Eliara's mind raced. They were facing a threat unlike anything they had encountered before, born from the very changes they had wrought upon the universe. But as she looked at her crew, she saw not defeat, but determination. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, she commanded. We didn't come this far to be undone by our own creation. Whatever these entropy weavers are, we'll find a way to stop them. As the Nautilus prepared to face this new threat, Eliara couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. Once again, humanity found itself at the forefront of a cosmic battle, fighting not just for their own survival, but for the very existence of the reality they had helped create. The entropy weavers closed in, their fluid forms a stark reminder of the chaos they had unleashed. But Eliara stood firm, ready to face whatever came next. The next phase of their impossible journey was about to begin. The Nautilus banked hard, narrowly avoiding a tendril of anti-reality that threatened to unravel its hull. Kai's hands danced over the controls, guiding the ship through the swarm of entropy weavers with a skill that bordered on precognition. "We can't keep this up forever," Jackson shouted over the blare of alarms. "Every near miss is degrading our structural integrity. We need a plan, Eliara." Eliara's mind raced, analyzing the fluid movements of their attackers. There was a pattern there, a logic to their chaos that tickled at the edge of her enhanced consciousness. "The Cosmic Loom," she breathed, an idea forming. "Jackson, can you reconfigure our shields to emit a frequency matching the resonance of the loom components?" Jackson's eyes lit up with understanding. "Brilliant. If we can tap into the underlying structure of the synthesis, we might be able to repel these entropy weavers. Give me 2 minutes." As Jackson worked feverishly at his console, Eliara turned to the Neo-Vortexian, whose city ship had joined the Nautilus in its evasive dance. "We need to reach the heart of the entropy tide. Can you guide us?" The Neo-Vortexian's thoughts carried a mix of admiration and concern. "The path is treacherous, Weaver. Reality grows thin there, and the laws of physics as you know them cease to apply. But if you are willing, we will show you the way." "Do it," Eliara commanded. "Kai, prepare to follow their lead." Just then, Jackson's voice rang out triumphantly. "Shield reconfiguration complete. Activating now." A pulse of energy rippled out from the Nautilus, its frequency attuned to the very fabric of the synthesized universe. The effect was immediate and stunning. The entropy weavers recoiled as if struck, their fluid forms dispersing like smoke in the wind. "It's working," Mara exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. "The shield is reinforcing the cosmic weave around us, pushing back against the unraveling." Eliara allowed herself a moment of relief before refocusing on their mission. "Excellent work, everyone. Now, let's press our advantage. Neo-Vortexian, lead the way to the heart of the entropy tide." As the Nautilus and the Neo-Vortexian city ship plunged deeper into the chaotic maelstrom, The universe around them began to change in ways that defied comprehension. Space and time seemed to fold in on themselves, creating impossible geometries and paradoxical landscapes. "I'm losing all sense of direction," Kai reported, his voice tight with concentration. "Standard navigation is useless here." The Neo-Vortexians' thoughts resonated in their minds, guiding them through the chaos. "Focus not on where you are, but on what you are. You are the weavers of synthesis, the shapers of this new reality. Let that truth be your compass." Eliara closed her eyes, reaching out with her enhanced senses. She felt the intricate weave of the cosmos around her, the delicate balance of merged realities that they had created. And there, at the edge of perception, she sensed a void, a place where the tapestry frayed and reality itself came undone. "There," she said, her eyes snapping open. "That's where we need to go." As they approached the heart of the entropy tide, a sight unlike anything they had ever seen filled the viewscreen. It was a maelstrom of uncreation, a swirling vortex where matter, energy, and the very laws of physics broke down into their component parts. And at its center, a familiar yet alien shape pulsed with chaotic energy. "Is that?" Jackson began, his voice filled with disbelief. Eliara nodded grimly. "The Cosmic Loom, or what's left of it." The device that had allowed them to reshape reality was now twisted and fractured, its once harmonious energies now a discordant symphony of destruction. With each pulse, waves of entropy radiated outward, unraveling the cosmic tapestry they had so carefully woven. "The loom is out of balance," the Neo-Vortexian explained, its thoughts tinged with sadness. "In merging realities, you created something wondrous, but also unstable. The loom now seeks to undo its own work, to return all to the void from which it came." Eliara felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her shoulders. They had reshaped the universe with the best of intentions, but in doing so, they had set in motion events that threatened to unmake everything. "There must be a way to stabilize it," she insisted, her mind already racing with possibilities. "To bring the loom back into harmony with the new reality we've created." As if in response to her words, the cosmic loom pulsed again, sending out a wave of entropy that shook both ships to their cores. Warning alarms blared as reality itself seemed to warp and twist around them. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast," Kai warned, fighting to keep the Nautilus stable. "I don't think we can withstand much more of this." Eliara looked at her crew, seeing in their eyes the same determination that burned within her. They had faced impossible odds before and emerged victorious. This would be no different. "Prepare for emergency maneuvers," she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We're going in. It's time to finish what we started and reweave the cosmic tapestry once and for all." As the Nautilus and the Neo-Vortexian city ship turned to face the heart of the entropy tide, Eliara steeled herself for what lay ahead. The fate of the entire universe once again rested in their hands, and failure was not an option. The final battle for the stability of their created cosmos was about to begin. The Nautilus plunged into the maelstrom, its hull groaning under the strain of reality's breakdown. Eliara gripped her console, her mind racing as she tried to formulate a plan. "Jackson, what's the status of the cosmic loom?" she called out over the din of alarms and creaking metal. Jackson's fingers flew over his console, his brow furrowed in concentration. It's hard to get a clear reading. The loom seems to be existing in multiple states simultaneously, but from what I can tell, its core matrix is destabilized. It's trying to revert to its original state, before we used it for the synthesis." Eliara nodded grimly. "So we need to restabilize it, bring it into harmony with the new reality we've created. Any ideas on how to do that?" Before Jackson could respond, Mara's voice cut through the chaos. "Eliara, you need to see this. The entropy weavers, they're changing." The viewscreen shifted, showing the swarm of chaotic entities that had been pursuing them. But now, as they approached the heart of the entropy tide, the weavers were coalescing into more defined shapes. They looked almost human. "They're us," Kai breathed, his voice filled with awe and horror. or versions of us, from timelines we overwrote during the synthesis. Eliara felt a chill run down her spine as she recognized distorted versions of herself and her crew among the entropy weavers. These were the paths not taken, the possibilities erased by their actions. And now they sought to unravel everything to reclaim their lost existence. The Neo-Vortexians' thoughts resonated in their minds, tinged with urgency. The entropy weavers are manifestations of the universe's attempt to resolve paradoxes. They seek to undo the synthesis, to return to a state of singular reality. But that would erase everything we've created, Eliara protested. All the new life, the merged civilizations, it would all be gone. An idea struck her then, born from the cosmic knowledge that had been imparted to them during the synthesis. What if instead of fighting them, we integrate them? Jackson looked at her, his eyes widening with understanding. You mean, weave them into the new cosmic tapestry? But how? The loom, Eliara said, her voice growing stronger as the plan took shape. It's the key. If we can use it to incorporate these lost timelines, these erased possibilities, into our new reality, we could stabilize the entire system, Jackson finished, excitement building in his voice. Brilliant. But Eliara, interfacing with the loom in its current state, it could tear us apart at the quantum level. Eliara set her jaw, determination burning in her eyes. It's a risk we have to take. For the sake of every life in every merged reality, we have to try. She turned to Kai. Bring us in as close to the loom as you can. Jackson, Mara, I need you to modulate our shields to match the loom's quantum frequency. We're going to attempt a direct neural interface. As the crew sprang into action, Eliara closed her eyes, reaching out with her enhanced senses. She could feel the chaotic energies of the loom, the desperation of the entropy weavers, the delicate threads of the cosmic tapestry they had woven all swirling around her. Neo-Vortexian, she called out, both aloud and with her mind. We're going to need your help. Can you use your city ship to create a stable pocket of space-time around us? The Neo-Vortexian's response came swiftly, its thoughts filled with resolve. We stand with you, weavers of synthesis. Our fate is intertwined with yours. As the massive city ship moved into position, projecting a field of stable reality around them, Eliara felt a surge of gratitude. Even in this chaos, even facing the consequences of their actions, they were not alone. Approaching optimal interface range, Kai reported, his voice tight with tension. Eliara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. All right, team, this is it. Whatever happens, know that it's been an honor serving with you all. Now, let's rewrite the cosmos one more time. With that, she reached out and activated the neural interface. In an instant, her consciousness was catapulted into the heart of the cosmic loom. She felt her very being stretch and fragment, spreading across countless realities and timelines. Through the overwhelming flood of information and sensation, Eliara held onto one thought. The vision of a universe where all possibilities could coexist, where the erased timelines could be rewoven into the grand tapestry of existence. As her mind merged with the loom, with the entropy weavers, with the very fabric of reality itself, Eliara began the monumental task of reweaving the cosmos. The fate of all existence hung in the balance, and once again, it was humanity's ingenuity and determination that would decide the outcome. The ultimate test of their creation had begun. Eliara's consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her physical form, merging with the chaotic energies of the cosmic loom. Time and space lost all meaning as she found herself simultaneously existing in countless realities, experiencing the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Through the overwhelming sensory input, she could sense her crew, their minds linked with hers through the neural interface, anchoring her to their shared purpose. Together, they began the monumental task of reweaving the cosmic tapestry. Jackson's analytical mind provided the framework, calculating the complex interactions between merged realities. Mara's deep understanding of life in all its forms guided the integration of diverse ecosystems. Kai's intuitive grasp of navigation helped chart a course through the sea of possibilities. As they worked, Eliara became aware of other presences joining their efforts. The Neo-Vortexians lent their multidimensional perspective, helping to smooth out paradoxes and inconsistencies. And the entropy weavers, those manifestations of erased timelines, began to flow into the new pattern, their chaotic energy transformed into threads of potential. But the task was far from easy. With each adjustment, new challenges arose. Entire galaxies flickered in and out of existence as they struggled to find the right balance. The very laws of physics threatened to unravel as they attempted to reconcile conflicting realities. Through it all, Eliara held onto the vision that had driven them from the beginning, a universe of infinite diversity and possibility, where every form of life could find its place. "We need to stabilize the quantum fluctuations in Sector 7. Jackson's thoughts rang out through their shared consciousness. Mara's response came swiftly. "Redirecting energy from the stellar nurseries in the Andromeda Arm. It should provide the necessary buffer." Kai's presence shifted, guiding them through a particularly turbulent region of space-time. "Watch out for that temporal eddy. It could undo hours of work if we're not careful." As they worked, Eliara became aware of a growing resistance. The Cosmic Loom, sentient in ways they had never fully understood, seemed to be fighting against their efforts. It pulsed with chaotic energy, threatening to tear apart the delicate weave they were creating. "The Loom," Eliara communicated to her team. "It's trying to revert to its original state. We need to convince it to accept the new pattern." Understanding flowed through their linked minds. This wasn't just a matter of rewriting reality, it was a negotiation with the very instrument of creation itself. Eliara focused her will, reaching out to the core consciousness of the Loom. She showed it the beauty of the merged realities, the infinite potential born from the synthesis. She conveyed the hope and wonder of countless beings whose existence depended on this new cosmic order. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. The Loom's energy continued to pulse erratically, threatening to undo all their work. Eliara felt despair creeping in. Had they come so far, only to fail at the final hurdle? Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the Loom's chaotic energies began to align with their efforts. It was as if the ancient device had finally understood their vision, accepting its new role in the transformed universe. With the Loom's cooperation, the process of reweaving accelerated. Realities merged seamlessly, paradoxes resolved themselves, and the entropy weavers found their place in the new cosmic order. The universe shuddered, and then, with a pulse of energy that resonated across all of existence, stabilized. Eliara felt her consciousness begin to contract, slowly returning to the confines of her physical form. As the neural interface disengaged, she found herself back on the bridge of the Nautilus, gasping for breath. Did it work?" she managed to ask, her voice hoarse. Jackson, looking as drained as she felt, nodded weakly. "Readings are stabilizing. The entropy tide is receding. I think we did it." The view screen flickered to life, showing a vista that took Eliara's breath away. The universe stretched out before them, more vibrant and alive than ever before. Galaxies sparkled with new colors, nebulae twisted into impossible fractal patterns, and woven through it all were threads of pure possibility, the integrated timelines of the entropy weavers. The Neo-Vortexians' thoughts touched their minds, filled with awe and gratitude. "You have done the impossible, weavers of synthesis. You have created a new cosmic order, one that embraces all possibilities. The universe will never be the same." As the implications of their actions began to sink in, Eliara felt a mix of exhaustion, pride, and trepidation. They had reshaped reality itself, integrating the chaos and bringing stability to the cosmos. But what would this mean for the future? What new challenges would arise from this transformed universe? For now, those questions would have to wait. They had succeeded in their mission, averting the collapse of reality and ushering in a new era of cosmic evolution. Whatever came next, Eliara knew that humanity would face it with the same ingenuity, courage, and adaptability that had brought them this far. As the Nautilus turned away from the now stable Cosmic Loom, setting a course for the heart of inhabited space, Eliara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The journey that had begun in the depths of Earth's oceans had led them to reshape the very fabric of existence. And somehow, she knew, their greatest adventures still lay ahead. The cosmic weave had been rewoven, and a new chapter in the story of the universe was about to unfold. As the Nautilus glided through the transformed cosmos, Eliara found herself marveling at the wonders they had helped create. Stars pulsed with new forms of energy, their light bending in ways that defied traditional physics. Nebulae twisted into fractal patterns of impossible beauty, each tendril a story of merged realities and integrated timelines. "I'm picking up some unusual readings," Jackson announced, his voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. "It seems the merged realities have given birth to entirely new forms of matter and energy." Mara nodded, her eyes wide as she studied her own console. "The biodiversity readings are off the charts. We're seeing life forms that combine aspects of multiple evolutionary paths. It's beautiful." Eliara felt a swell of pride in what they had accomplished, but it was tempered by a nagging concern. What about inhabited worlds? How are the various civilizations coping with the changes? As if in answer to her question, a transmission cut through the ship's communications. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that seemed to shift between multiple forms, a visual representation of the merged realities they now inhabited. "Greetings, weavers of synthesis," the being's thoughts resonated in their minds. "I am Zyxthar, representative of the Quantum Collective. We have been eagerly awaiting your return." Eliara stepped forward, her mind racing to process this new development. "Quantum Collective, I'm afraid we're not familiar with your people." Zyxthar's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "We are a new civilization, born from the merger of organic and artificial intelligences across multiple realities. Your actions have allowed for collaborations and evolutions that were once thought impossible." As Zyxthar explained the state of the transformed universe, Eliara and her crew listened in awe. The synthesis had not just merged realities, it had catalyzed a new era of cosmic evolution. Species that were once mortal enemies now coexisted in symbiotic relationships. Technologies from disparate timelines had combined to solve problems that had once seemed insurmountable. But not all was perfect in this new cosmos. While many have embraced the changes, Zyxthar continued, there are those who resist. Some beings, unable to reconcile their merged memories and identities, have fallen into madness. Others seek to undo what you have wrought, believing that the original, separate realities were preferable. Eliara felt a weight settle in her chest. They had reshaped the universe with the best of intentions, but once again, their actions had unforeseen consequences. "We need to see this for ourselves," she decided. "Zyxthar, can you guide us to the nearest inhabited system?" The journey to the system Zyxthar designated was short, but it gave Eliara time to prepare herself for what they might find. As they approached the planet, the view screen filled with a sight that defied easy description. Cities that seemed to phase in and out of multiple architectural styles dotted the surface. In the skies above, beings of energy danced with creatures of flesh and metal in a harmonious display of integrated life forms. But even from orbit, they could see pockets of chaos areas where the merger of realities had not gone smoothly. "I'm detecting multiple distress signals," Kai reported, his voice tight with concern. Eliara nodded grimly. "Take us down. It's time we face the results of our actions head-on." As the Nautilus descended through the atmosphere, the true scale of both the wonders and the challenges they had created became apparent. In one district, they saw a marketplace where traders from across merged realities exchanged goods and ideas in a beautiful display of cosmic harmony. But just blocks away, they witnessed beings struggling with fractured identities, their forms shifting erratically as they grappled with conflicting memories and instincts. "This is incredible," Jackson breathed, his scientific curiosity warring with his concern. "The merging of realities has accelerated technological and biological evolution exponentially. But the psychological toll on some individuals—" Mara finished his thought, her voice soft with empathy. "It's devastating. They're caught between multiple versions of themselves, unable to find balance. Eliara felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her shoulders. They had reshaped the cosmos, but their work was far from over. Now, they needed to help guide this new universe through its growing pains, to find ways to heal those struggling with the merge, and to defend against those who would seek to undo it all. "All right, team," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We created this new cosmic order. Now it's our duty to help it flourish. Let's get to work." As they prepared to disembark and face the transformed world before them, Eliara couldn't help but feel a mix of pride, excitement, and trepidation. They had woven a new cosmic tapestry, more complex and beautiful than anything that had come before. But with that beauty came new challenges, new responsibilities. The next phase of their journey was about to begin a quest, not just to explore this transformed universe, but to heal it, guide it, and defend it against those who would seek to unravel their grand creation. Humanity had reshaped reality itself. Now, they would need to prove themselves worthy stewards of the cosmic weave they had created. The streets of the merged city were a cacophony of sights, sounds, and sensations that assaulted Eliara's senses. Beings of every conceivable form, and some inconceivable, moved about their business, some phasing in and out of reality as they navigated the overlapping dimensions of the synthesized world. Jackson walked beside her, his eyes wide with a mix of scientific fascination and concern. "The level of integration is astounding," he murmured, scanning the environment with a modified tricorder. "I'm picking up energy signatures from at least 7 distinct realities, all coexisting in the same space-time." Mara, who had been observing a group of plant-like entities communicating through pulses of bioluminescence, turned to Eliara with a troubled expression. "But not everyone is adapting well. Look there." She pointed to a humanoid figure huddled in an alley, its form flickering rapidly between different versions of itself. One moment it appeared as a tall, reptilian being, the next a squat, furry creature, then a shimmering energy construct. The being's eyes, however, remained constant, filled with confusion and pain. Eliara approached cautiously, her heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. "Hello," she said softly, projecting thoughts of calm and reassurance. "We're here to help. Can you tell us your name?" The being's gaze focused on her, a spark of recognition cutting through the chaos of its shifting form. I am? Was. Krelks? No. Amelia? I don't know anymore. Too many memories, too many selves." Jackson stepped forward, his tricorder whirring. "The merger of realities has left some individuals with multiple sets of memories and identities. Their psyche can't reconcile the conflicting information." Eliara nodded grimly. "We need to find a way to help them integrate these disparate selves, to find balance in the new cosmic order." As they contemplated this challenge, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of beings, their forms more stable, but their eyes burning with zealous fire, marched down the street chanting slogans. "Unravel the weave, return us to the true reality." Their voices and thoughts rang out in unison. Kai, who had been monitoring the situation from the Nautilus, contacted them through their calm devices. "Eliara, we're picking up similar demonstrations across the planet. It seems there's an organized movement against the synthesis." Eliara felt a chill run down her spine. They had known there would be resistance, but the scale and fervor of it were alarming. "We need to understand their grievances," she decided. "Maybe we can find a way to address their concerns without undoing everything we've accomplished." As they made their way towards the demonstration, carefully skirting the edges of the crowd, Eliara's enhanced senses picked up a familiar energy signature. She turned to see a neo-vortexian approaching, its form a swirling mass of potentialities. Weavers of synthesis, the being's thoughts touched their minds. "We have been monitoring the situation across the merged realities. The unrest you see here is but a fraction of the challenges we face." Jackson, his scientific curiosity piqued, addressed the neo-vortexian. "Have you found any solutions for those struggling to integrate their multiple selves?" The neo-vortexian's form pulsed with what might have been a sigh. "We have made some progress. By using focused quantum resonance, We can sometimes help individuals find harmony among their disparate identities. But the process is difficult and not always successful. As they discussed potential solutions, a shout from the crowd drew their attention. One of the protesters, a being that seemed to flicker between an avian form and a crystalline structure, had spotted them. "There, the ones responsible for this chaos," it screeched, pointing an accusing appendage at Eliara and her crew. "They must answer for what they've done to us." The crowd's attention turned to them, a wave of anger and desperation washing over Eliara's psychic senses. She stood her ground, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. "We understand your pain," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension. "We're here to listen, to understand, and to help find solutions." The synthesis was meant to bring new possibilities, new hope, not to cause suffering. For a moment, the crowd seemed to hesitate, torn between their anger and the sincerity in Eliara's words. But before any dialogue could begin, a pulse of energy rippled through the air. Reality itself seemed to flicker and warp. "Entropy spike!" Jackson shouted, his tricorder wailing in alarm. "Something's trying to unravel the local space-time fabric." Eliara's mind raced. They had stabilized the Cosmic Loom, integrated the entropy weavers. What could be causing this new disturbance? As if in answer to her unspoken question, a rift opened in the air before them. Through it, Eliara caught a glimpse of nothingness, a void that threatened to consume the vibrant, merged reality around them. The Neo-Vortexian's thoughts rang out in alarm. A pocket of anti-reality, left over from the original unraveling. If it's not contained, it could undo everything we've worked for. Eliara set her jaw, determination burning in her eyes. They had come too far, overcome too much, to let their creation unravel now. "Jackson, Mara, work with the Neo-Vortexian. See if we can adapt our shield technology to contain this rift. I'll try to calm the crowd and evacuate the area." As her team sprang into action, Eliara turned to face the panicking protesters. This was the moment of truth. Could they prove that the synthesis, despite its challenges, was worth preserving? Could they show these beings that there was hope in this new, integrated cosmos? The fate of their grand experiment, of the entire rewoven universe, hung in the balance. And once again, it fell to humanity to find a solution, to bridge the gap between realities and bring harmony to the cosmic weave. Eliara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenge ahead. The next chapter of their impossible journey was about to unfold. Chaos erupted as the anti-reality rift pulsed, sending waves of uncreation rippling through the merged city. Buildings flickered in and out of existence, their architectural styles shifting wildly as different realities vied for dominance. The panicked crowd scattered, their forms blurring as the stable synthesis began to unravel. Eliara's voice cut through the pandemonium, amplified by both technology and her enhanced psychic abilities. "Everyone, remain calm. We can contain this, but we need your cooperation. Move away from the rift in an orderly fashion." As she coordinated the evacuation, Eliara kept one eye on Jackson and Mara. They worked feverishly alongside the Neo-Vortexian, their hands dancing over holographic interfaces as they attempted to modify their shield technology. "We're isolating the quantum frequency of the anti-reality pocket," Jackson called out, his voice tight with concentration. "If we can generate an inverse waveform, we might be able to neutralize it." Mara nodded, her eyes never leaving her calculations. "The challenge is maintaining the integrity of the merged realities while we do it. One wrong move, and we could end up fracturing the synthesis even further." The Neo-Vortexian's form pulsed with urgent energy. "Time is against us. The rift is expanding exponentially. We must act now." Eliara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They had reshaped the cosmos, woven a new reality from the threads of infinite possibilities. Now, that grand creation teetered on the brink of collapse. But as she looked at the diverse beings around her, some fearful, others determined, she knew they couldn't give up. "Do it," she commanded. "Activate the shield." A pulse of energy erupted from the hastily assembled device. enveloping the rift in a shimmering field of quantum possibilities. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the edges of the void began to contract. "It's working," Jackson exclaimed, his eyes wide with a mix of relief and scientific awe. "The anti-reality is being reintegrated into the cosmic weave." But their victory was short-lived. As the rift shrank, tendrils of void lashed out, seeking purchase in the fabric of the merged realities. Where they touched, beings and structures alike began to unravel, their component realities separating in a cascade of fracturing timelines. "The shield isn't enough," the Neo-Vortexians' thoughts rang out in alarm. "We need to reinforce the synthesis at a fundamental level." Eliara's mind raced. What they needed was a focal point, something to anchor the merging realities and resist the pull of the void. And then it hit her, the very thing that had allowed them to reshape the cosmos in the first place. "The Cosmic Loom," she breathed. "We need to use it again, here and now, to restabilize the synthesis." Jackson looked at her, his expression a mix of hope and concern. "But Eliara, interfacing with the loom nearly tore us apart last time, and we don't have the full device here, just the knowledge imparted to us." "We are the loom now," Eliara insisted, a plan forming in her mind. "Our experiences, our understanding of the merged realities, we carry the essence of the cosmic loom within us. If we can channel that power, focus it through our combined will." Understanding dawned on her crew's faces. Without hesitation, they moved to form a circle around the containment field, linking hands. The Neo-Vortexian joined them, its fluid form intertwining with their joined hands. "Everyone, focus your thoughts on the merged reality," Eliara instructed, her voice ringing with authority. "Visualize the cosmic weave, the intricate tapestry of integrated timelines. Will it into stability." As they concentrated, Eliara felt her consciousness expanding once more. But this time, instead of being overwhelmed by the infinite possibilities, she found herself at the center of a vast, interconnected web of realities. She could sense her crew beside her, their minds linked in perfect harmony. Together, they began to reweave the local fabric of space-time. Threads of reality that had begun to fray were carefully reintegrated. The essence of the cosmic loom flowed through them, guided by their combined will and understanding of the transformed universe. The anti-reality rift pulsed and writhed, fighting against their efforts. But slowly, inexorably, it began to shrink. As it did, the chaos in the merged city began to subside. Beings that had started to unravel found their multiple selves reintegrating, this time with greater stability and harmony. With a final surge of collective will, Eliara and her team closed the rift. There was a moment of absolute stillness, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Then, with a pulse of energy that rippled out across the cosmos, the synthesis restabilized. Eliara opened her eyes, gasping for breath. Around her, she saw her crew similarly drained, but alive with a sense of accomplishment. The Neo-Vortexians' form shimmered with what could only be described as joy. "You've done it," the being's thoughts rang out. "You've not only contained the threat, but strengthened the very foundations of our merged reality." As the implications of what they'd achieved sank in, Eliara looked out at the city around them. The beings that had been panicking earlier now stood in awe, their forms stable, their eyes filled with a new understanding of the cosmic order they inhabited. One of the former protesters, the avian crystalline being, approached them cautiously. We felt it. For a moment, we were one with the universe, with all possible realities. We understand now. The synthesis? It's not a curse, but a gift. A chance for infinite growth and evolution." Eliara smiled, feeling a profound sense of hope. They had faced the void and emerged victorious, not through force, but through unity and understanding. The cosmic weave they had created was stronger now, more resilient. But as she looked at her exhausted crew, at the transformed city around them, Eliara knew their work was far from over. They had stabilized this reality, but there were countless others out there, all part of the grand tapestry they had woven. The journey to fully realize the potential of their cosmic synthesis was only just beginning. But for the first time since awakening in this transformed universe, Eliara felt truly confident that they were on the right path. Humanity had reshaped reality itself, and now they would guide it towards a future of infinite possibility and harmony. In the days that followed their victory over the anti-reality rift, Eliara and her crew found themselves at the center of a rapidly evolving cosmic society. The news of their actions had spread across the merged realities, carried by quantum-entangled communications that transcended traditional space-time. The Nautilus had become a nexus of activity, with representatives from countless civilizations seeking audience with the weavers of synthesis. Eliara stood on the bridge, watching as yet another delegation arrived, a group of beings that seemed to exist as living equations. There forms a constant flux of mathematical symbols. The algorithmic collective, Jackson explained, reading from his data pad. They've apparently evolved from a merger of organic mathematicians and quantum computers. They're eager to discuss the implications of our recent stabilization efforts. Eliara nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. Each new encounter brought fresh perspectives on the transformed universe, but also new challenges to navigate. Dr. Trent, Kai called from his station. We're receiving a priority transmission from the Quantum Collective. They say it's urgent. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing Zyxthar. The being's form seemed more stable now, but there was an unmistakable tension in its posture. Weavers of synthesis, Zyxthar's thoughts resonated with urgency. We've detected a growing anomaly in the Cygnus arm of the galaxy. It appears to be a confluence of unresolved timeline conflicts, threatening to cascade into a full-scale reality schism. Eliara felt her heart race. They had managed to stabilize the local area, but the vastness of the cosmos meant there were bound to be other trouble spots. How bad is it? Zyxthar's form shimmered with concern. If left unchecked, it could unravel a significant portion of the galactic arm. Billions of merged beings would be at risk of temporal dissolution. Set a course, Eliara commanded, her voice filled with determination. Maximum speed. Zyxthar, can you rendezvous with us there? We may need the Quantum Collective's unique perspectives. As the Nautilus prepared for departure, Eliara gathered her crew for a briefing. The holographic display at the center of the room showed the affected region of space, swirling with conflicting timelines and unstable reality pockets. This is going to be our biggest challenge yet, she began, her gaze moving from Jackson to Mara to Kai. We're not just dealing with a localized disturbance, but a vast region of space-time instability. We'll need to apply everything we've learned about the synthesis on a galactic scale. Jackson nodded, his mind already racing with calculations. I've been working on a theory. If we can identify the key nexus points of timeline convergence, we might be able to create a network of stabilizing fields, like acupuncture for the cosmos. That could work, Mara chimed in, her eyes lighting up with inspiration. We could use the diverse life forms in the region as natural amplifiers. Their very existence as merged beings could help reinforce the stability of the synthesized reality. Kai, ever the pragmatist, raised a concern. But how do we navigate through that chaos? Our conventional FTL drives might be useless in areas where the laws of physics are in flux. Eliara considered this, then smiled as an idea struck her. We use the instability to our advantage. If reality is fluid there, we can shape it. We don't navigate through the chaos, we become part of it, guiding the Nautilus with our collective will. As her crew digested this audacious plan, the ship shuddered slightly. They had arrived at the edge of the affected zone. Through the viewports, they could see the fabric of space-time rippling and distorting like heat waves on a cosmic scale. This is it, Eliara said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Everything we've been through, everything we've learned, has prepared us for this moment. We're not just explorers anymore, or even creators. We're the caretakers of this new cosmic order. She looked at each member of her crew, seeing in their eyes the same determination that burned within her. They had reshaped the universe once. Now, they would fight to preserve it, to guide it through its turbulent adolescence into a new era of cosmic harmony. Take your stations, she commanded, We're going in. As the Nautilus plunged into the chaotic maelstrom of conflicting realities, Eliara felt a surge of pride and purpose. Humanity had come so far from its humble beginnings on Earth. They had faced the depths of their oceans, the vastness of space, and now the very fabric of reality itself. Whatever challenges lay ahead in this transformed universe, she knew they would face them with the same ingenuity, courage, and adaptability that had brought them to this point. The cosmic weave might be fraying, but they were the weavers of synthesis, and they would not let their grand creation unravel. The next phase of their impossible journey was about to begin. With the fate of countless merged realities hanging in the balance, Eliara steeled herself for the trials ahead, ready to once again prove humanity's worth as shapers and guardians of the cosmos. The Nautilus surged into the heart of the reality storm, its hull shimmering with the conflicting laws of physics that battled for dominance. Eliara stood at the center of the bridge, her mind expanded to encompass the swirling chaos around them. Through sheer force of will, she guided the ship through impossible geometries and fractured timelines. "Quantum fluctuations are off the charts," Jackson reported, his fingers dancing over controls that seemed to phase in and out of existence. "I'm detecting at least 7 distinct timeline convergences within a parsec of our position." Mara's voice cut through the din of alarms and groaning metal. "Life sign readings are erratic. It's as if entire civilizations are blinking in and out of our reality." Eliara nodded grimly. The situation was even worse than they had anticipated. "Kai, can you get us closer to the nearest convergence point?" Kai's hands moved with preternatural speed, guiding the ship through the reality storm. "I think so, but our conventional navigation is useless here. I'm flying purely on instinct and something else. It's like the ship is responding to our collective will." As they approached the convergence point, the viewscreen filled with a sight that defied description. Strands of reality twisted and intertwined, each one a path not taken, a possibility unrealized. And at the center, a knot of pure chaos where timelines collided and merged in a violent dance of creation and destruction. "There," Eliara pointed. "That's where we need to focus our efforts. Jackson, prepare the stabilization field. Mara, see if you can isolate the unique quantum signatures of each timeline. We need to untangle them before we can reweave them properly." As her crew worked feverishly, Eliara reached out with her enhanced senses, trying to make sense of the cosmic tangle before them. She could feel the pain and confusion of countless beings caught in the confluence, their very existence flickering as realities warred for dominance. Suddenly, a familiar presence touched her mind. The Neo-Vortexian city ship phased into view, its impossible geometry a stark contrast to the chaos around them. Weavers of synthesis, the being's thoughts resonated with urgency. "The situation is dire. The reality schism is spreading faster than we anticipated. If we cannot contain it, it could trigger a cascade failure across the entire synthesized cosmos." Eliara felt the weight of countless lives pressing down on her. They had reshaped the universe with the best of intentions, but now that grand experiment teetered on the brink of collapse. Failure wasn't an option, not when the fate of every merged reality hung in the balance. "We need to synchronize our efforts," she decided. "Jackson, link our stabilization field with the Neo-Vortexian systems. Mara, I want you to coordinate with their xenobiologists. See if we can use the diverse life forms in this region to amplify our efforts." As her crew sprang into action, Eliara turned her attention to the heart of the convergence. She could sense the Cosmic Loom's energy there, twisted and distorted, but still present. If they could tap into that power, use it to guide their efforts. "Everyone, listen carefully," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We're going to attempt a direct neural interface with a convergence point. It's risky, but it's our best chance to unravel this tangle and restabilize the region." Jackson looked up from his console, his face pale but determined. "You mean like what we did with the loom?" "Eliara, the psychic feedback could tear our minds apart." "It's a risk we have to take," Eliara insisted. "We created this new cosmic order. It's our responsibility to maintain it." As the crew prepared for the interface, Eliara felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to attempt something never before conceived, even in this transformed universe. Success would mean salvation for countless beings. Failure. She pushed the thought aside. Failure was not an option. Neural interface initiating, Mara announced, her voice tight with concentration. In an instant, Eliara felt her consciousness expand beyond the confines of her physical form. She was everywhere and everywhen, experiencing countless timelines simultaneously. She saw worlds that never were, civilizations that had been erased, possibilities that strained the limits of imagination. Through the overwhelming flood of information, she sensed her crew beside her, their minds linked in perfect harmony. Together, they began the monumental task of untangling the snarl of timelines. It was painstaking work. Each strand had to be carefully separated, its unique quantum signature preserved. Paradoxes had to be resolved, causal loops untangled. And through it all, they had to maintain the delicate balance of the synthesized reality they had created. Time lost all meaning as they worked. It could have been minutes or millennia. Eliara felt her sanity fraying at the edges, the weight of infinite possibilities threatening to overwhelm her. But she held on, anchored by her crew and their shared purpose. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they reached the heart of the convergence. Here, the very essence of the cosmic loom pulsed with chaotic energy. With a supreme effort of will, Eliara reached out and touched it. Knowledge flooded her mind, cosmic secrets and universal truths beyond human comprehension. She saw the grand tapestry of existence, the intricate weave of cause and effect that bound all realities together. And in that moment of perfect clarity, she understood what needed to be done. With her crew's support, Eliara began to reweave the cosmic tapestry. Timelines were carefully reintegrated, their unique essences preserved but harmonized with the greater whole. The chaotic energy of the loom was channeled, transformed from a force of destruction into a stabilizing influence. As they worked, Eliara became aware of other presences joining their efforts. The Neo-Vortexians lent their multidimensional perspective. The quantum collective added its vast processing power, and beings from across the affected region, sensing the change, contributed their own unique energies to the reweaving. With a final surge of collective will, they closed the rift in reality. There was a moment of absolute stillness, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Then, with a pulse of energy that rippled out across the cosmos, the synthesis restabilized. Eliara gasped as her consciousness snapped back to her physical form. Around her, she saw her crew similarly drained, but alive with a sense of triumph. Through the viewscreen, the once chaotic region of space now shimmered with harmonious energy, timelines flowing together in a beautiful cosmic dance. We did it," Jackson breathed, his voice filled with awe. Eliara nodded, a smile breaking across her face despite her exhaustion. "We did more than that. We've proven that this new cosmic order can be maintained, that the synthesis is resilient." As the implications of their victory sank in, Eliara felt a profound sense of hope. They had faced the void, stared into the abyss of uncreation, and emerged victorious. The cosmic weave they had created was stronger now, more resilient, ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. But as she looked at her crew, at the transformed universe around them, Eliara knew their journey was far from over. They had stabilized this reality, but there were countless others out there, all part of the grand tapestry they had woven. The work of maintaining and guiding this new cosmic order would never truly be finished. And yet, as the Nautilus turned to face the vast, synthesized cosmos, Eliara felt nothing but excitement for what lay ahead. Humanity had reshaped reality itself, and now they would guide it towards a future of infinite possibility and harmony. The greatest adventure in the history of existence was only just beginning.